बहुत से लोग को लगता है कि रियल एस्टेट मतलब होम्स. If you think it will be an investment, you will be very disappointed. Your home is not an investment. After that, what you buy? Second home, third home, land, van, then it's separate. I had a midlife crisis very early on in my life.
अभी recently budget आया and वहाँ पे there was something called the indexation benefit. Real estate में ये कैसे apply होता है?
I think the right way for Gen Z to approach it is my EMI should equal my rent. For me, it is foolishness if somebody buys a home before 35. Location and address, they are not the same thing. Home if you are buying for yourself, not for investment. Choose three things.
देखो मुंबई इंडिया का फाइनेंशियल हब है और हम इतने टैक्सेस भी भरते हैं. When will be the time कि मुंबई के रोड्स में potholes नहीं होंगे?
तो वो I don't think कभी होगा.
So hi Vishal, welcome to my show. Firstly, thank you for accepting this invite. I remember us having this conversation जब आपने बोला कि यार रियल एस्टेट में तो मैं सब कुछ बोल चुका हूँ. And I was like कि नहीं अभी आपने सब कुछ नहीं बोला है. Right, because currently for the younger generation, especially people in their 20s and late 20s, like early 20s and late 20s, real estate is a very unsexy investment for us, right? मम्मी पापा के पास घर है तो हमको घर की ज़रूरत नहीं है. So the main reason why we're doing this podcast is to see कि क्या real estate में wealth बन सकती है? Is real estate still relevant as an investment class? And also should youngsters really plan about having a house? और मम्मी पापा के पास है तो फिर क्या ही ज़रूरत? So that's the plan of the show.
Okay. So जैसे आपने कहा कि इट्स वेरी अनसेक्सी सेक्टर एंड इट्स ट्रू, इट्स प्रीटी अनसेक्सी और पहले के जो रिटर्न्स थे अभी वो मिलते नहीं हैं.
Right.
बट आई थिंक रियल एस्टेट हैज इन्वेस्टमेंट पोटेंशियल.
Right.
ओके, बस उसमें बहुत सिलेक्टिव होना पड़ता है.
बिल्कुल.
तो यू हैव टू लुक एट रियल एस्टेट इन अ वे दैट सिटी पे तो देखना ही नहीं है अगर इन्वेस्टमेंट करना है.
Right.
यू हैव टू गो टू लोकेशंस व्हिच कैन बिकम द नेक्स्ट सिटीज.
Okay.
वहाँ पे मौका है फॉर जेन जी. एंड जैसे when we spoke and I told you I've said everything that I had to. I think for the younger audience, one thing I noticed during my time, and my time I can say I'm much older than you and probably your audience.
How old?
I'm almost double your age, so you can see. So at my time, that ownership had a lot of pride.
Right.
तो बहुत लोग घुस जाते थे.
Right.
But they used to get trapped also.
Right.
Because you used to make a hasty decision.
Right.
The good thing I realize about people from your generation is that they don't have that baggage. मुझे घर चाहिए, मैं घर लेने से I have arrived in life.
Right.
वो सब status symbol has gone.
Right.
So I think Gen Z is a lot more smarter than my generation.
Right.
And hopefully they don't make the mistakes that people from my era did.
नहीं, absolutely right, because I think हमारे parents के time पे there was the concept of रोटी कपड़ा मकान, right? It was very very essential. But for us, or at least for my generation, I can say that I am more privileged than most people, right? मैं अभी भी देखती हूँ मेरे friends कभी कभी अपना पैसा घर भेजते हैं, and luckily मुझे नहीं भेजना पड़ता है. So obviously I have more freedom as well. So रोटी कपड़ा मकान is not my priority right now. It is more like धन संपत्ति and सम्मान is what I'm looking at. Right, so building wealth and also getting more power is more something that I am interested in. Otherwise, if whatever I'm doing right now, right, all my money gets invested in my equipments, my work, my travel. Otherwise, when I look at my friends and they're very hardworking people, उनको घर, as they have to send back money home, I'm like कि I have more flexibility and मुझे बहुत ज़्यादा freedom है उस हिसाब से.
So this is actually an interesting situation you're in, and it's a good thing you actually acknowledge that
I'm privileged.
काफी लोग they don't understand that until they see others.
Right.
I think the big difference I see among people who have this flexibility is they are the ones who can take risks.
Right.
उनका growth or degrowth in a way happens in extremes because you take more risk.
Right.
जो आपके जो friends हैं जिसको पैसा भेजना पड़ता है, they are very clear. इतना पैसा आ रहा है and
इतना भेजना पड़ता है.
on day one it will go away.
Right.
Either on your rent, family, etc. So is it a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. It depends on how the privileged person takes it.
Right. No, I see the thing is that there's always going to be someone richer than you and poorer than you, right? But at the same time, I recognize that, things maybe 10 years later when I'm 32, because I'm 22 right now, when I'll be 32, there will be three things that matter. It won't be that Switzerland trip I didn't take. It will be, okay, what business I've built, what wealth I've built, and also am I financially comfortable to extend it forward to my extended family if necessary, and at the same time, can I help people around me? Right, abhi the nature that I have is more selfish in the sense मेरी growth का है, but maybe once I reach 30s I would also want to give back in a way to someone who was at my stage. So I think that the transition will happen gradually.
Possibly, I'm after I hear you at your young age to have the thought process. It's actually quite admirable. I don't think I had this thought process when I was your age, and I didn't even think that forward ki at the age of 30 I want this, I want that. I in fact now when I look back at it, um, I had a midlife crisis very early on in my life. Okay, where you get that feeling na ki what am I really doing? काफी लोग बोलते हैं ना, you have that feeling of hollowness.
Right.
And whenever I used to read that earlier in books, I used to wonder, what do they mean? But I realized when you feel it now, these are things which you can feel, you cannot explain. And then you start to think, what am I really doing in my life? And then you make that leap. I did it much later, but if you manage to do it at 30, it'll be quite commendable.
I am trying, that is what I'll say. Like, abhi kuch time pehle, right, when I was living with my parents, and I've lived in a residential hostel for the past 3 years of my life. So when I started earning, I did not have any expenses. So all my money went in luxuries, travel, very nice hotels. And जब नया नया पैसा आता है, you have that wish कि यार जो बचपन में मतलब ठीक है, parents can afford it, but you also wouldn't want to ask them to extend way more than they can. Parents are meant for necessities, not luxuries, is what I realized at a very young age, right? So जो होता था ना कि यार ये होटल ट्राई करना है, यहाँ खाना ट्राई करना है, वहाँ खाना ट्राई करना है. So for me it was like कि अब अपने पैसे से करो. Plus one thing that my mother did at a very young age was she would take me to all the fancy parlors. She would take me to all the fancy restaurants. And what that lady used to do was she was like, देख आज तो हम लोग अफोर्ड कर रहे हैं, अब जब तू ग्रो अप हो जाएगी अब तू कैसे करेगी. सो फ्रॉम अ वेरी यंग एज आई वाज लाइक ओके नाउ यहाँ पे क्या सीख रहे हैं, यहाँ पे क्या ग्रोथ है. And even when I was interning at different places, right, there were two things in my head. What is the financial growth? If no financial growth, what is the skill growth? So that segregation started happening in my head very early.
I'm actually delighted to hear. मैं इतना पढ़ता, I keep reading about on so many blogs and all that Gen Z, the younger generation, is a completely aimless lot. So I'm glad to see that there are some very notable exceptions who have this thought process. And I think a lot more advanced than when I was at your age.
So Vishal, अब हम Gen Z की बात कर रहे हैं. Usually real estate is an asset class for people who are recently married and अब they're moving in with their wife or a husband. तो अब घर देखने की बारी है. या फिर it's a very, I'm sorry to say this, mummy papa asset class. Do you see a lot of people in Gen Z being curious about real estate?
Actually, to be honest, Sejal, besides you, I don't know too many people of Gen Z.
Right.
Most people who I talk to, they are in that age group above 30. You are almost half of that age, right? So I don't know, but from what I read, okay, and it's a global phenomenon, not just India. They like to be in a way hands-free.
Right.
I want convenience. I don't want the hassle of owning something if it requires too much administration. I think that's a very good idea.
Right.
Most people earlier had this desire कि जल्दी लो घर, okay. जैसे आपने कहा कि शादी के बाद तो करना ही है, क्योंकि वो स्टेटस एलिमेंट आ जाता है, पर उसके पहले also people say कि मुझे घर चाहिए, then I'm sorted.
A sense of security, right?
Sense of security. No, I frankly do not understand the logic of security, because in one case, if you buy a house, it's on EMI. If you can't fulfill the EMI, what security is there? It goes away. For rent, it's the same thing. If you can't fulfill the rent, the landlord throws you out.
Right.
I think the right way for Gen Z to approach it is that if you want to buy a home, you should not buy it before the age of 35.
Right.
It is, in a way, for me, it is foolishness if somebody buys a home before 35. You have no idea where you will be. You have no idea about what your long-term vision is, which city you will be, which location is coming up, not coming up. Your idea should be, my EMI should equal my rent.
Right.
And what can I do to make sure that happens? Abhi kya hai ki EMI is typically 3 times your rent because of the rental yield that is there. Can you bring it close to your rent amount? If that is the case, prepare and then buy it at that opportune moment where you see the location, surrounding.
And decent investment, right?
Investment stages सोचना ही नहीं है.
Okay.
In a city, हाँ, you are going to go with the assumption कि prices will not rise.
अब खरीदना तो बताओ.
अभी खरीदना, you buy. If after 5 years, 6 years you get some return 30, 40, 50%, फिर ठीक है. See, बहुत से लोग क्या हो जाता है कि अपना ये narrative in India ना, there is big desire to make sure people have this FOMO feeling.
Right.
Fear of missing out. Okay. Now this is also a term I learned in recent years only. Okay. So and for that, what do? अरे sir, price बढ़ रहे हैं, जल्दी लो.
Right.
Then you buy it because you've fallen for the trap.
Right.
Then you realize after 4-5 years कुछ मिला ही नहीं. So it is, I would say it's a con game, but it's a big deception.
It is. And if I may interject, right, and I want to know your views as well. So see, आजकल ना लोगों के पास बहुत black money हो गया है, and especially before this, demonetization, तो और भी ज़्यादा था. So people needed an asset to park their money in, and that was flats. And do you think that अब उन्होंने इतना पैसा तो रियल एस्टेट में लगा दिया and somehow now they want an exit also. So वहाँ पे एक FOMO क्रिएट करा गया है कि like you know अब रियल एस्टेट के प्राइस बढ़ रहे हैं या हो रहा है. So do you think that is also one of the reasons why?
So see, black money is a big factor, okay? But to be honest, to be fair, I think we have done some good work in reducing black money in real estate, okay? Both from the supply and the demand side,
Right.
okay? अभी क्या है कि supply side तो lot of big builders are there,
Right.
and they're very protective.
हाँ.
कि boss, I'll not touch this. I have to be very careful. Listed भी हैं because they see the benefit that it's better to show 100 in white than to have 125 in black. Because the market will reward me for the 100.
Right.
Okay. On the demand side of black money, I think in many cities they've adapted ready reckoner rates to market rates. Black money का खेल क्या होता था कि basically rate is 20 rupees or rate is 1 crore in the ready reckoner level, but house value is actually 3 crore. मैं 1 crore पे stamp duty लेके settle कर देता हूँ, बाकी 2 crore cash पे. Now I think governments have also become very sensible. Ready reckoner market rate is pretty much on par. In some markets of Mumbai, this place is not maybe, but in many markets of Mumbai, the ready reckoner rate is more than the market rate. So the guy is paying stamp duty on an amount which is higher than the price he's paid for.
अच्छा वैसे अब हम इसके बारे में बात कर रहे हैं राइट रियल एस्टेट नॉट बीइंग अ वेरी सेक्सी इन्वेस्टमेंट एवरीवन रीड्स दिस बुक कॉल्ड रिच डैड पुअर डैड राइट दैट इज लाइक अ बुक जो हर बंदे ने पढ़ी है चाहे एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप करे ना करे बट सबको लगता है वो बुक पढ़ने के बाद एकदम से ना यू फील लाइक कि भाई आई एम द नेक्स्ट वॉरेन बफे सो वहाँ पे रॉबर्ट कियोसाकी वंस सेड दैट योर हाउस शुड नेवर बी एन इन्वेस्टमेंट राइट सो डू यू एग्री विद दैट स्टेटमेंट
Should never be an investment. Never ever be an investment. If you think it will be an investment, you will be very disappointed, and you will probably after that never look at real estate as an investment. Never look at that. Your home is not an investment. After that, what you buy, second home, third home, land, van, then it's separate. And there are multiple opportunities for real estate as an investment class, which is not housing. बहुत से लोगों को लगता है कि real estate मतलब homes, only homes. It is not. There is warehousing, there is industrial, there is senior living, there is everything, right? There's commercial, office, retail, सब कुछ है.
Okay, now you've spoken about warehousing, you've spoken about senior living, and you said industrial and commercial. तो इसको थोड़ा सा explain भी करो आप.
Okay. So see, senior living is कि your parents, however young or old they are, after a certain stage, they don't want to live in a congested city. They want to be amongst like-minded people.
Right.
So there'll be one facility that will come out somewhere close to the main city. Which will be built only for senior living, where you'll have all the amenities for senior living. अभी हम लोग जाते हैं घर लेने के लिए, हम लोग पूछते हैं ना, amenity क्या है? Gym, pool, swimming pool. For senior living, it will be amenities, but the amenities will be very different.
Right.
How many nurses? How far is the hospital from here? How far is the clinic from here? How's the alignment of my house? All those things will get covered.
Right.
I think that's a space that can grow. The only risk over there is that इंडिया का माइंडसेट थोड़ा है ना कि यार पेरेंट्स को सीनियर लिविंग में रह रहे हैं, मतलब बच्चे लोग ने
अबैंडन कर दिया.
एग्जैक्टली, दैट्स द रिस्क. बट आई थिंक दैट रियल एस्टेट के मार्केटर्स काफी स्मार्ट इनफ है टू स्पिन इट इन सच अ वे दैट सीनियर लिविंग हैपेंस विदाउट द चिल्ड्रन एंड सोसाइटी
एंड द इमोशन गेटिंग ट्रिगर्ड.
इमोशनली ट्रिगर्ड,
राइट. So because I remember there was someone on Twitter, I think it was Rahul, who used to run some insurance business or something, right? So there was a gentleman called Rahul and he said that senior living is booming. And मेरे दिमाग में सबसे पहले ये चीज़ है कि at the end of the day, right, India has a very strong family culture. So how does the senior living happen? But I also see that Gen Z is a generation that does not like commitment. कमिटमेंट हमको ना अपने काम में पसंद है, तो बहुत फ्रीलांसर्स आ रहे हैं, ना हमें अपने रिलेशनशिप्स में पसंद है और ना हमें घर खरीदने में पसंद है, राइट? सो वहाँ पे एक्चुअली if not, our parents, Gen Z might be interested to live in these kind of houses.
In senior living?
Once they are.
Once they're higher, yeah, okay, yeah, of course. I'll not be surprised. I'll not be surprised that happens. Maybe that's a 30-40 year phenomenon. But 30-40 years, I think the odds are very high.
And
5 years, I think it's modest. But it'll pick up.
30-40 हाँ वहाँ तो हो जाएगा because अब इतना रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी नहीं है, साथ साथ में इन्फ्लेशन भी बढ़ गया है, तो जितने कम खर्चे कर सकते हो, जितना लाइट रह सकते हो, उतना अच्छा एसेट लाइट, राइट? सो पीपल लव लिविंग एसेट लाइट. सो आई थिंक दैट इज व्हेन इट माइट पिक अप. सो इट्स अ not exactly a very futuristic trend, but maybe in the next 30-40 years it will boom.
And I agree on that. Means if somebody asks me, would I be okay in a senior living after 30 years, maybe 25 odd years, I don't think I'll be opposed to that idea. Okay. In many cases, the senior living people don't have a choice because the kids are abroad, and who who will handle it, your security, independent houses. Get into your own community, it'll work through.
I think it might work through the community factor, and if there's no aisa fear of abandonment, it can work very very well. So I think it works a lot around the how it's marketed as well to the Indian market, right? Because वो family value was challenged ना हो और आपको ऐसा लगे कि family जैसा but not abandonment, it will work very well. तो अब आपने एक senior living बताया, अब आते हैं warehousing के ऊपर.
So the warehousing is a space that's grown quite a bit in the last 5 years, 5-7 years. Uska model is very simple. You just need land there. Right. To construct the warehouse is no big deal. Okay? Right. Within a year it gets constructed. Yields over there are very high. Okay. Basically, model क्या रहता है? Rental yield होता है 2.5-3%. Office का हो जाता है 6-7%. Warehousing can be 8-9%, but and with a very high lease period. Right. Okay. Like Amazon will take
multiple warehouses.
1 million square feet. Okay. And it'll take for the next 10 years.
Right.
So you have a good lock-in period. Right. You have a good contract period. Right. And you have healthy yields. Right. It works very well. Okay. Trick in that is just can you make sure that the viability of the warehousing space remains. Right. Because sometimes what happens is people start bidding too high for land and that ensures that warehousing का खर्चा बहुत हो गया.
Right.
Third is something data centers.
Right.
Data centers is very hot.
Right.
Okay. Obvious reasons. Sejal and her Gen Z friends are on phone all the time, as are people like me. Right. Okay. Eventually, the data storage management has to happen. Right. That again has to be very close to locations which are around the major cities. So around Mumbai, Bangalore, Chennai, Chennai, सब कुछ हो जाएगा. The one space which I think can make a good comeback is actually office.
Offices, commercial.
तो office थोड़ा मरा हुआ sector है.
Right.
ठीक है. Nobody wants it because one is that the quality of asset is not very great. Two is your talent, your buyer pool is very limited.
Right.
Okay. And with the advent of co-working spaces, right. जो पहले जो लेता था 300 square feet office, right. उसको बोला मैं क्यों लूँ? Right. Co-working is meeting my needs, no?
Right.
6
We work.
हाँ, we work. It works very well, you know.
It does.
And it's very convenient.
Asset light.
Asset light. There's no administration charge. Somebody else is managing it for you. You don't need to worry about hiring A person, B person for security, कुछ नहीं.
Interiors भी नहीं कराने पड़ते हैं.
And community.
Right.
So in all of these major trends that I see now, Sejal, is that one thing is very clear. Right. From residential, office, senior living, the best amenity, right. is the community.
Community aspect.
Swimming pool, gym, सब ठीक है. What is the big star appeal is community.
Right. So Vishal, now coming to the main question where Gen Z aspect comes. You've told us warehousing is growing, right? And I think a few years ago I had attended some session around warehousing business and dark stores growing a lot. So how do I get into this business? No, obviously I can't buy a whole land and construct everything. But is there any way how I can invest in this warehousing, senior living? Are there REITs available for this as well?
So there are different types of REITs. REITs are basically you take one share of a company that does commercial this thing. Right. In warehousing, you have something called a fractional ownership. Right. Simple चीज है. सेजल को एक पूरा पिज्जा नहीं खाना है. Right. सेजल को सिर्फ एक पिज्जा स्लाइस खाना है. Right. So out of the 8 slices, you get one. Right. Same thing is there for warehousing. One guy will come, set up a SPV, a company, which buys a warehouse for 100 crores. Sejal will put 1 crore. Right. Vishal will put 1 crore. Your producer will put 1 crore, camera person will put 1 crore. करते करते सबका हो जाएगा, and you get 1% of that warehouse, and you play on that yield. Right. So I think these models are coming through, and eventually it will happen in all segments. Right. In all segments, this sort of entities will get created where people can participate.
I've seen fractional ownership being there for luxury cars, even for private jets. So I think this should be there.
The biggest asset class, which has actually grown in the last 10 years, in luxury. Right. You know what is it? You were surprised. It's rare whiskey.
Rare whiskey. Why?
Because that guy, that luxury audience, ठीक है, उसके पास घर है, yacht है, सब कुछ है, ठीक है, second home, third home, here with. What do you really want? He wants something which is rare and historical. Right. You know, जैसे art. Right. जैसे बोलते हैं ना लोग का art का value कब बढ़ता है? After the artist dies. Right. Because उसके बाद supply बंद है ना. Right. Rare whiskey is that. This is the whiskey bottle that Hitler opened before he was about to shoot 100 people. Right. But there is that appeal to it, Hitler ka. So if you were to ask me which is the best luxury investment, always chase assets where supply has stopped. जैसे crypto's appeal is that, you know, limited supply.
Bitcoin,
हाँ. So in that way, what are the other assets? वहाँ पे it stopped.
Right.
That's the appeal.
Like paintings हो गया, then watches हो गए. Like अभी आनंद अंबानी gifted these watches worth 2 crores to each and every groomsman, right? He had, and उसके supply नहीं है.
I mean, yeah, 2 crores. Sometimes I really wish I basically had made better friends when I hear all these cases, 2 crores type. But yeah, the premise remains the same.
Right.
Go for assets where supply is limited or it stopped.
Right.
Supply stopped is the ultimate scenario.
Right. No, I think, you know, how luxury is sold to rich people is also very interesting. So I was attending a polo event one time, right? And I got an invite and I was attending it. So you'll see, like, you know, all people who are all HNIs were sitting over there in that tent, and half of them, maybe they do understand polo or they don't understand polo, but there was an appeal that was created, right? That networking event. And then uske baad, there was some nice party or lunch that was done. And after that, obviously, Sadhbis or it was Sadhbis India only. So Sadhbis was interested. Sadhbis is entered into realty as well. So, you know, the way they had appealed and made it, like, you know, sound like something very luxurious is something that works very, very well for the segment. So we call it Amiro ke shock, but maybe for them it's very practical.
It's very practical. See, the most expensive houses that are actually been bought,
Right.
they are not bought for the square feet. हम लोग को लगता है ना, मतलब we are not in that segment.
Right.
This is 10,000 square feet house. That guy doesn't care. He's buying not the 10,000 square feet. He's buying that house, you know why? Because that was the house where Muhammad Ali Jinnah sat and
Right.
negotiated the partition.
Right.
Uska value for the luxury buyer is that.
Right. Like 1-8, right? It's built in Kishore Kumar's bungalow. And that statement is not, obviously 1-8 is great, but Kishore Kumar's bungalow is what, you know, gets that value. So Vishal, if I, as a 22-year-old, had to buy my first house, what would be a rough roadmap?
A rough roadmap will be that Sejal at 22-year-old, as a 22-year-old, does not think about buying a home for the next 10 years, okay? She starts planning the roadmap which you said. She starts deciding that where should I be? Where will I be 10 years from now?
Right.
Most likely you will not have an answer, okay? I'm not discounting your intelligence. But at 2020, when you're that young, you don't know what city you want to be in, what life you want, okay? There'll be many opportunities that will open, doors that will open for you. But you still want to have that ownership plan.
Right.
You have to see at what stage can my EMI equal rent.
Right.
Sejal loves this house. Okay?
Right.
मुझे यही घर खरीदना है.
Right.
अभी now, if you were to go and buy it today, your EMI will be 3x of your rent.
Right.
How do you build that corpus to ensure that EMI becomes equal to rent or close to that?
Right.
That has to be a roadmap. Earn enough for that. And if you don't buy a house for 10 years, it will reach there.
Right.
Because this house and all your buildings का houses, price will not rise too much. ठीक है, मतलब वो थोड़ा broker चिल्लाएगा, builder चिल्लाएगा कि rate बढ़ रहा है.
But
it will not.
right.
Okay. You have to be very clear. This is the value. How do I get there to ensuring my upfront amount is such कि EMI is equal to rent?
Right. So that needs to be looked into, and I think home would happen in the next, as you said, 10 years, because that time I'll also be sure. Because अभी मुझे ये भी नहीं पता है कि मैं क्या काम करना चाहती हूँ, but on the long term, right now obviously there are different gigs going on, but long term work. So it's also where do I live, what kind of a family do I build, what kind of responsibilities do I have, and that happens after 30s. अब देखो अभी recently budget आया है and अभी tax season भी चल रहा है, right? We are shooting this podcast on 25th July for those who don't know. So मैंने एक चीज़ notice करा, देखो मुंबई इंडिया का financial hub है and हम चाहते हैं कि you know this becomes like Singapore. और हम इतने टैक्सेस भी भरते हैं. When will be the time कि मुंबई के रोड्स में potholes नहीं होंगे?
तो वो I don't think कभी होगा. Means I'm not being cynical. See, Singapore is the wrong benchmark for Mumbai. Okay, Singapore is the pinnacle of top grade governance.
Right.
वो उनका mind is geared only towards governance.
Right.
Mumbai is in a way the other extreme. हमारा mind is geared from everything else except governance.
Right.
So I don't think we should look at potholes. Taxes जो आपके जा रहे हैं. See, Mumbai does not have an issue of capital.
Right.
पैसे की problem नहीं है.
हाँ नहीं है.
पैसा बहुत है city में. Imagine a corporation having a budget of 40,000 crore. Okay.
Right.
So it's humongous. It's more than the budget of many states, not just in India, but outside India in Asia.
Right.
Okay. Issue is utilization.
Right.
So until we don't plug that gap,
Right.
कि boss ये पैसा कहाँ पे जा रहा है, कैसे जा रहा है, we will keep going through this because see all this is a symptom of corruption and incompetence ना. Now you can, I don't know which one is more. ठीक है, corruption है कि incompetence है. Because I find it hard to believe कि कोई भी ऐसा रोड बना सकता है जो first day में pothole आ जाए. That's impossible. मतलब if I try to do it also, I'll not be able to do it. So it's obviously one of the two. मतलब इधर जल्दी किया है या इतना पैसा लिया है कि you cannot, the quality of material is so bad. So I think if Sejal, if you're staying here even at the age of 32 and you bought the house, you should be prepared to see the same potholes that exist today.
So Vishal, we've spoken कि एक 22 साल का बच्चा घर कैसे खरीद सकता है. We've also criticized the government and all. But now coming, how does your real estate portfolio look like?
Mine's, so see, I got, while I told you that you should not buy a house very early, I bought a house very early in my life.
How early?
When I was about 27 years old.
Wow.
Okay. But for me, it was not in a way by choice, because my father retired and we had to vacate the government home, that he, the company home, not the government home, the company home. And for that, we needed to buy a new house, which we wanted somewhere close by only. And because of that, I got in to do it, because there was some big corpus came from my parents and a smaller amount came from me. So I bought that at a very opportune time, because that time Lehman crisis was there. The market,
2008.
The market had cracked. An almost ready home was there for the taking, at a location which I thought was a futuristic location. We took it, and within like 2.5 years, prices almost became 100%.
Oh.
Okay. So again, it's all these things. Now when I look back, I can credit myself कि मेरे पास इतना planning था, I could spot the opportunity. It was nothing like that.
So it was maybe the right time and the right intent that made it happen.
Right time, right place, and just some broad understanding कि what is lacking in a particular place for the price to be low.
Right.
See, one big learning I've had, Sejal, is that people confuse two concepts which they should not do it.
Right.
Location and address.
Right.
Okay. They are not the same thing.
Matlab?
Okay. When you're buying a home, people ask you, what location do you want?
Right.
Ek to you say, ki, boss, I want Pali Hill.
Right.
Okay, Bandra, Pali Hill. What is that? It's a good address. It's a very bad location.
Right.
वहाँ पे क्या है? To get out from there to anywhere, you're stuck.
Right.
Location is what? One location which is very good in connectivity, सब कुछ पास में है, but वो address का problem है.
Fancy नहीं उतना.
हाँ, मतलब think of it like Dharavi.
Right.
Now Dharavi, we keep talking ना, slum redevelopment, पूरा slum ही है. Sejal and Vishal would not like to say that they own an apartment in Dharavi. Where do you stay? Dharavi. People will feel, no.
We'll hide.
We'll hide. But location, it's a superb location. You're close to the central part of BKC, you're close to Lower Parel, you're close to Western Express Highway, Eastern Express Highway, Metro, सब कुछ है.
Right.
So if you were to ask me what has been my biggest learning in real estate, is that never confuse location and address being the same thing.
Right.
So that was the thing that happened with me when I was buying the home. Everything was great about the area. Just that उस time इतना fashionable नहीं था.
Right.
But that irons out over a period of time.
Right. नहीं, so we come from the north and वहाँ पे क्या है कि अगर आपकी ज़मीन हाईवे के पास है ना तो फिर आपके मज़े हैं. So that might be the location and address difference, because ज़मीन where but address highway, a future highway being built. So government buys that land at a very high cost, and even वहाँ पे लोग petrol pump खोल देते हैं and other things. So those people have made a lot of money.
Highway touch, they keep hyping, na brokers. वही है, you're right, exactly.
So we're still continuing about Vishal's real estate portfolio. How much real estate do you have?
So no. So a lot of my real estate, actually, I don't have much of real estate. Like I told you, the one home that I bought, that is there. I have some degree of exposure to real estate stocks. Okay. More than me, my wife has. Okay. Right. Because she does not come from the stock market background, but she thinks that I know a lot about real estate. So she comes and tells me that, Vishal, this is my bonus.
कहाँ लगा?
कहाँ पे लगा? But her requirement is also very peculiar. Vishal, I don't want average returns. I want supernormal returns. Right. Okay. So invariably, I land up giving her suggestions which are, these offbeat stocks, right, which I think have future. Real estate वैसे भी ज़्यादा कोई cover नहीं करता. Right. Okay. I do a lot of scenario building. Ki iske paas, this guy has land over here, this development can happen, this area can change, and so on and so forth. She's been lucky because since the time she's got into real estate, has been hot, the stock market at least. So yeah, so she has a sizable portfolio, but me and my personal capacity, I don't want to do it because once you buy a stock now, then for people like me, it's like, I would say it's a conflict of interest, but you get attached.
Emotion. You'll have a bias.
You have a bias. I don't want to have that. So I tell her, Joe, you do what you want. This is what I think is. She does what she has to buy. I forget about it. Then she comes and tells me once in a year, Arey, Vishal, do you know that the portfolio is so much? Thank you. So that's all. Otherwise, I don't have too much.
Have you ever wanted to get into warehousing?
So I wouldn't mind getting into warehousing. I just think that the framework of buying into warehousing today is still not as liquid. मतलब जैसे मैंने कहा ना कि Sejal puts 1 crore to buy 1% of a warehouse. Vishal does 1% also. If I want to exit it,
Right. Exit कब मिलेगा?
that's the big issue for assets like warehousing. पूरा तो ले नहीं पाऊंगा मैं 100 crore का. 1 crore का Sejal and me can probably do a deal ourselves. But then there's only one buyer and one seller, which is very inefficient in terms of market.
Right. So abhi bhi a lot of transparency needs to be there.
Liquidity needs to come in. Liquidity will make all these asset classes rise.
Right. So now we've spoken about different classes of real estate, but regular people only understand two classes, right? One is commercial, other is residential. So जब हम घर खरीदने जा रहे हैं, कहते हैं मैं 30 साल की हो चुकी हूँ, अब मेरे पास अच्छी धन संपत्ति भी है. So what parameters do I look at buying a house and as well as an office if I was to look at commercial real estate?
So see, home if you're buying for yourself, again I want to be very clear, for yourself, not for investment. Choose three things.
Right.
One, be very clear that what you buy, you should be able to sell.
Right.
Okay. So do not buy a property which you think will be tough to sell.
Right.
Most people make that mistake. Okay. That they bought the house, excitement में, अरे निकलना है यहाँ से. Then they realize कि बेचना तो बहुत मुश्किल है. It takes 6 months, 9 months, 1 year to do it. Two is, don't buy a house which is too small.
Why?
Because you will outgrow it very soon.
Right.
Okay. अभी क्या the phenomenon is in many markets is that prices कम नहीं हो रहे per square feet.
Right.
Ticket size कम हो रहा है.
Right.
क्योंकि the houses are becoming smaller.
Right.
पहले अगर 2 BHK 800 square feet का होता था, अब ये 600 square feet का हो गया. Now suddenly people say, अरे it's affordable for me.
Right.
But 600 square feet, you have to see whether it's livable or no.
Right.
Okay. Because if it is not, by the time you get the house, you will feel, अरे यार ये तो बहुत ही छोटा है.
बहुत छोटा है. साथ ही साथ one of the biggest fears that I have if I live in Mumbai in my 30s is number one, my kids won't have a park to play at. मुंबई के यहाँ पे मैं पार्क अपने लिए ढूंढते रह गई, right? And also, when you live with your family, let's just say COVID happens again, you need personal space to tolerate people. It's not that I don't love my family, but you need personal space. यहाँ के घरों में नहीं मिलेगा.
True, you're right, and that's why I think one thing builders have done right here, while they have made the houses very small, ढेर सारी amenities है जी, ठीक है? You go out, there'll be a pool, there'll be a gym, there'll be a walking place, there'll be a rooftop place, something or the other. So that becomes the amenity area, which is the third most important thing. If I was to tell somebody how to buy a home, make sure the house is not too small. Right. Make sure it has amenities, okay? Because outside your complex, think that the city does not exist. You have to go with that assumption. Once you do that, you will plan your housing very clear, which is the reason, if you look at it, Sejal, today the projects that do very well are the ones that offer amenities. Right. The ones that don't offer any amenities, बिकता ही नहीं है. And a big developer will tell you upfront, अगर प्लॉट इतना छोटा है कि I cannot provide amenities मैं लूंगा ही नहीं. Right. The best projects that I've done in the last 5 years are all that have that 4. If I was to tell what are the 4 things that are right about it. 1, एक reputed builder है. Right. 2, plot size अच्छा है. Right. 3rd, amenities है. 4th, pricing ठीक है. Right. If one of those 4 is missing it's a very heavy price you have to pay. Right. As a builder.
So Vishal, in India, right, we only have very few names, गिने चुने नाम हैं जो builders में nationally अच्छा कर रहे हैं. One is DLF, there is Lodha, there is Hiranandani, and maybe 4-5 more names here and there. So what is, if somebody wanted to enter the real estate market, what has been the reason for their success?
See, real estate ka success is actually in India it's quite easy to succeed in real estate. One thing I've learned looking at the sector कि if you show you are buyer centric na, buyers will give you a humongous premium to have their needs met. Okay, you said the names like DLF. Okay, it's very tough to move from one geography to another geography because it's like a different, it's a city, different city, right?
Absolutely.
Different rules, different competition, and nature of real estate is such that you need to have local support. ठीक है, to get the land, to manage the land, to manage the environment, the ecosystem. DLF का champions in Gurgaon. Okay. अभी in Mumbai there is a project called Lodha Park. ठीक है. पता है before Lodha bought it, who owned it? DLF.
So why wasn't DLF able to do what Lodha did?
So DLF bought the land. For 3 years they did nothing. Okay. For variety of issues. I'm not saying that they just sat on it because they wanted to sit on it. 3 years they did nothing. But they bought that land for 700 crores. 4 years later, they sold it to Lodha for 2,700 crore.
फिर भी पैसा बना लिया.
पैसा बना लिया. But it taught them कि Mumbai is not easy to navigate. Go to my regular place. Godrej at one point said we want to reduce the number of cities we are in. अभी ना euphoria में वापस I think a lot of developers have got that confidence कि let's penetrate them. So the solution is very clear. You have to think national but act local.
Right.
You have to treat it like it's a full new market. My team has to be from there. Most developers make the mistake, they think sitting in Bangalore, I can manage Mumbai. Sitting in Mumbai, I can manage NCR. No. You have to have local specialists to manage it.
And you know challenges बहुत different है. अगर आप हमारे यहाँ पे जाओगे, I'm from चंडीगढ़, दिल्ली एरिया में जाओगे, वहाँ पे पार्क की कमी नहीं है. Okay, वहाँ पे ऐसा नहीं है out front park, but there is no shortage of park. Whereas Mumbai, a builder offering some green pasture is a big deal, right? So small things कि यहाँ पे requirement क्या है, shortage क्या है, वो आपको grassroots level पे आके पता चलेगा. Otherwise नहीं पता चल पाएगा.
Understanding buyer psychology, his needs, it's a very scientific process. Right. I don't think many developers do that effectively. Right. क्योंकि you rely a lot on channel partners, brokers. Right. क्या चल रहा है, क्या नहीं चल रहा है. Right. Until you are right in over there, talking to the regular guy every day. अरे मुझे घर खरीदना है यार, पर मैं रुका हूँ. क्यों? अरे कोई अच्छा प्रोजेक्ट आया ही नहीं है, प्लॉट ठीक नहीं है, मुझे एक्सप्रेस वे टच चाहिए, एमिनिटी चाहिए, स्कूल चाहिए अंदर. Once you can collate that well, then you come out with the product na, those work very well, and the developers who do that na, they have blockbuster sales on day one.
So Vishal, we've spoken about your investments, we've also spoken about your learnings, but कहते हैं कि आज जो आपका आज का learning है, अगर आप अपने 20s में वापस जा पाते, what would you do differently for the house that you bought at 27?
To be honest, I can't think of. So again, I think the learnings that I have now, of course, they're a lot more nuanced and specific. But from what I did that time, it just turns out that the learnings that I have now, I had implemented them when I was 27. Right. Again, there's no credit to my intelligence of that time and all. It just, things fell into place. The only learning I tell people is that you have to just remember two things. Right. Location versus address, standalone versus amenities. Right. You get that thing right, no? You're sorted. Most of the things are good. And you have to go with the right builder. Right. Okay. And by builder, see, the thing is you have to be very clear who are the people on your side. Okay. Right. Real estate एक ऐसा sphere है for a buyer is that he doesn't know who is really on his side. Right. It's a very unique situation ना कि it's a very unique situation ना कि मैं एक buyer हूँ. Right. I am giving धंधा to 250 industries. ठीक है. Right. From the builder, paint, ceramics, everybody, you know. But I don't know who's really on my side. ठीक है. क्योंकि broker earns brokerage from the builder. He's not earning from you. Okay. So his interest is aligned to the builder. So you have to be very clear who is on your side. And for that, you have to find the right broker. Right. Okay. The right broker ka selection is a very, very good skill to have. Right. Identifying that. Right. The secret formula I realized in my way, ask every broker who you meet. Right. 2 questions. You'll get to know his depth of knowledge. One, when you ask him what's कैसा market, हर broker बोलेगा superb sir, सब कुछ जा रहा है ये वो ना. Next question should be, okay, what's working, what's not working. That will test whether the broker has thought through कि क्या चल रहा है, क्या नहीं चल रहा. Okay, sir, 3 BHK चल रहा है with this configuration, 1 BHK is not working if it's like this. मतलब he's given it a thought. Two, ask the golden question. Home prices गिर सकते हैं? If he says नहीं गिर सकते ना, run from that broker. He knows nothing about the market. Or if he knows, he's lying to you. Either way, he's not on your side.
Snake oil salesman.
Exactly. So the second question na, is the one you should always, matlab when you are fully confused na, to know ki, is he really thinking about me? Can home prices fall? If he says no to that na, it can never fall. Run the other side. He's not your broker.
So I was talking about group living, right? So one of the biggest issues with group living is builders promise a lot and they're not able to, abide by those promises. Like मेरा जो जहाँ पे मेरा घर है, हमको 2 चीज़ बोला था. आपको फ्लैट मिलेगा, आपको गार्डन मिलेगा, आपको जिम मिलेगा और स्विमिंग पूल मिलेगा. उन्होंने सिर्फ एक गार्डन बनाया and there is nothing beyond that, right?
I frankly wish that this was not as common as it is. But like you're saying, this is just recklessness. Right. Okay, this is just disdain for the buyer. कि मैंने प्रॉमिस एक चीज़ किया है, मैं नहीं करूँगा. क्यों नहीं करूँगा? क्योंकि वो जो प्लॉट पे, वन इज द एक्सपेंस पार्ट, मुझे क्यों देना है. टू इज ऑन दैट स्पेस, स्विमिंग पूल का जो एरिया था वहाँ पे मैंने बिल्डिंग बना दी, फ्लैट बना दी. और सो आई थिंक द सोल्यूशन टू दिस इज, सी रेरा हैज डन सम थिंग्स ऑन दिस कि जो प्रॉमिस किया है वो देना ही है. बट ये सर्च फॉर लूपहोल्स, it's a very unique sphere. Most developers na, when I hear them na, when a notification comes out, they don't think about how to follow the notification. They think उसमें loophole क्या है, अरे उसने ये बोला है पर इसमें ये नहीं बोला है, मतलब I can do this. If people just start following the notifications na, we'll be so much better, because India mein the problem is not regulation. Regulations are very good. Like we think about if you are uprooting a tree, rules is very clear. If you're uprooting a tree, it has to be transplanted. पर होता है? नहीं होता है ना. So regulation is not the issue. It's the accountability of it. Your issue, I can understand the misfortune that people like you have when you'll buy a house, because it's an emotional purchase. No? I'm buying for a dream. और brochure पे तो, I'm sure when you must have bought, 80% of the brochure will be about the amenities.
Sample flat and वगैरह वगैरह, and they make it as if like wow. But then when you see the actual flat and how it's done and whatever, if they say we'll put this AC, तो उसकी जगह एक और कोई उसका थोड़ा cheaper variant डाल देंगे. Same with material, like they'll say हम आपके यहाँ क्या कहते हैं, POP करवा रहे हैं, and what is it called?
False ceiling.
False ceiling, yes. So false, after 3 months you see false ceiling is falling on my head only.
This is just disdain for the buyer, and unfortunately it's very prevalent. The example that you told me, most cases, Sejal, when I go at some of these forums and talk, this is the most common complaint. लिया था ये सपने के लिए, पर कुछ आया ही नहीं. The thing about show flat, sample flat, there are 4 things which I always tell people you should keep in mind when you're seeing a sample flat. One, remember one thing: when you enter in the house, there are no doors. The sample flat there are no doors. Okay. 2, you will see that the floor to ceiling will be a lot higher over there, to give you a feeling that the apartment is bigger. Okay. Number 3, when you enter the bedroom, okay, the bed will be small, to make you feel that the bedroom is big. Okay. I love to go in sample flats and the bed, when I see to jump in it, to see whether I fit on it or no. Most cases I don't fit, because the bed ka size बहुत कम कर दिया. And number 4, this is a very very rare thing which most people do not identify. In a sample flat now, many sample flats, what they do is that they make the cupboard size very thin. Okay. Why? Because when you enter, suppose you're entering a bedroom, how do I make it look big? The dynamic duo combination is small bed, thin cupboard, to make sure that the bedroom looks big. How do you know it's a small cupboard?
You have to open and close the door. जोर से नहीं, अच्छा.
Always go with a hanger.
Hanger.
When you put the hanger inside, you should be able to close the cupboard.
Right.
When you go to many sample flats now, the hanger is inverted. Right. ऐसे, diagonally है, not straight. Right. When I first saw it, I was like, ये ऐसा क्यों है? I said, let me align it. Let me straighten it. Okay. तो मैंने खोला. Then I tried to straighten it. When I straightened it, I closed it. बंद ही नहीं हो रहा. I said, that is why. Then when I looked at the side, oh, okay, the cupboard size is actually so thin. So when you go to see a sample flat, always carry a hanger.
Oh, this is actually a very good hack, and like I was like, यार ये how does that door का thickness matter? But now I realize कि okay, it does matter. And once you enter a room जहाँ पे bed छोटा है and वो door पतला है, you'll think कि यार बहुत जगह है. So when I was renting this apartment also, right, my landlady has sent me really good pictures. But मैंने अपने दिमाग में I had mentally told myself कि अगर उसने मुझे ये फोटो भेजा है उसमें 100 है तो मैं इसके बारे में 70 सोचूंगी. उससे क्या है कि when you expect less, disappointment also reduces.
And that is the golden rule of real estate. Always keep expectations low.
Right.
Because if your expectations are high, you will be disappointed.
Right. अभी recently budget आया and वहाँ पे there was something called the indexation benefit. अब हम लोग बहुत लोग ट्विटर पे उस दिन इकोनॉमिस्ट बन गए थे बट बहुत लोग को इसके बारे में नहीं पता है. So what is it? Number 1 and number 2, real estate में कैसे apply होता है?
So basically, Sejal buys a home
Right.
in 2002.
Right.
ठीक है? At 10 lakh rupees.
हाँ.
Okay. Now you have to account for inflation.
Right.
Indexation captures that in a way, right? Abhi that 10 lakhs over the years becomes 45 lakhs.
ठीक है.
Okay. On that, the deal was very simple. Today the market rate, suppose 1 crore. Okay. The indexed value of your purchase house, 45 lakhs.
Right.
मतलब मेरा कितना capital gains हुआ है?
45.
55 lakhs. For 100 minus 45, 55 lakhs. Okay. So on 55 lakhs, I have to pay tax.
Right.
Okay. On that, I'm paying 20%.
Right.
Now government has come and said कि remove indexation.
1 crore पे.
So 1 crore is my value today.
Right.
I bought for 10 lakhs.
Right.
On 90 lakhs, I have to pay 12.5%. Okay. Now obviously somebody does the mathematics.
Right.
For most people,
Right.
okay, it will be indexation will hurt them, most buyers.
Right.
Unless your property rates have jumped so much, okay, in the last 15-20 years,
Right.
you think it's worth it.
Right.
Because your percentage has reduced from 20% to 12.5%.
Right.
So it's okay to do it. Now obviously it's not happened.
सबके साथ नहीं हुआ है and actually real estate at a certain place is hyped, the rates are hyped, right? They'll say all flats sold and then उसके बाद brokers will call you and tell you कि अच्छा 1-2 flat available, 1-2 units available है.
The best known strategy of real estate का thing is first day fully sold out, second day too many cancellations. So that's how the circus goes. You're just ruining your own credibility.
Right.
Most people who are in the market know it.
Right.
But लोग को वो खेल करना है कि नहीं fully sold out, 2 hours, 3 hours, बड़ा queue outside the sales office. Sometimes so people earlier thought they were customers. फिर जाके समझा कि वो नहीं broker है.
Okay, so Vishal, आजकल DLF Magnolias और Camellias का बहुत hype है. What is, accounted in these rates and what is the hype all about?
So DLF Camellias is an extraordinary product. So I remember, Sejal in I think 2022.
Right.
I was sitting with the architect, Hafiz contractor.
Right.
Okay. And he stays in Dadar,
Right.
okay, Parsi colony. I basically hope he'll not mind me saying this, but I asked him, कि, sir, you make Twin Towers, Imperial, fancy building, why don't you stay there? I said, no, I like the peace of Dadar Parsi colony. Superb area, right? Very green, very peaceful. But he said, if I was to not stay here, I would stay in DLF Camellias in Gurgaon. Just I think a few months before I had gone to Camellias when it was getting ready.
Right.
And it was good, but it was the wow factor, It did not dazzle me.
Right.
Okay. 1 or 2 months later, after my meeting with Hafiz contractor, I went to Gurgaon for a wedding.
Right.
Where the DLF guy told me, Vishal, come now.
Right.
We have done the clubhouse, the amenities. I said, I'm also jaded to go and visit projects. हर रोज वही करता हूँ तो unless it's a very great thing, no point going.
Right.
He said, no, I think you would not have seen this before in your life.
Right.
So I said, ठीक है, इतना बड़ा बोल रहा है तो maybe. And I have to say, this was the one time when a person has told me I would not have seen something like that before. It has turned out to be right. It's a dazzling. It's a product which you can say, I get the feeling that DLF told the architect, I want to dazzle the world.
Right.
Show me how. Money is no expense. It's that. It's a DLF का statement. He's told the architect, तेरे को जो चाहिए तू कर. but I want to stun the world. And he's done that, and I was pretty sure when I went and saw that the project will fly after that. Okay. Because ऐसा product बनने वाला है ही नहीं मुंबई में. मुंबई में तो definitely नहीं. Even Gurgaon. I don't think even Gurgaon में DLF can replicate Camellias.
Right. So it is that good.
I think it's a phenomenal product. To my mind, DLF Camelia is the best project of India today. And I think it will be the best project of India at least for the next 5-10 years.
You know, I saw someone who lives there post a story and I was like, wow, ये India में है.
It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Of course, pollution लोग बोलेंगे कि अरे winters पे ये हो जाता है. Now you can't blame the builder there.
हाँ, वो तो फिर पूरा ही government को blame करो. Builder अब क्या ही करे.
So on its own, it's an exceptional product. In fact, you not believe it, Sejal, कि after Camellias, when I came one day later, one of the top branded developers of Mumbai said, Vishal, can you come to our project? I want to show you something special. Okay. I won't name the project because it's a respected builder, and it's a good location. And when I went there, it was good. But when I came back, I felt very underwhelmed. I was like, हाँ ठीक है, luxury product है, but just because I had seen Camellias a day before, I was like, ठीक है, nothing great. If I had not seen Camellias, I think I would have liked it. Because I saw Camellias, this luxury product, which is today Mumbai's one of the top 3 projects of Mumbai. So I'm telling you that, it's a top 3 project of Mumbai. But when I came back, I felt, हाँ क्या बड़ी बात है, कुछ खास नहीं है.
So now what's the difference between regular real estate and luxury real estate, and how does a buyer go around buying luxury real estate?
Luxury real estate is a very different ballgame. Okay. So see, there are in a way 3 types of housing. मतलब there is one, the affordable housing. मतलब मुंबई में applicable नहीं है affordable housing, कुछ affordable नहीं है. But for what it's worth, what they call, one is mid-level housing, one is luxury housing. Affordable housing is the one which is priced aggressively low by crunching homes sizes. Okay, वो affordable हो गया, ठीक है. Per square feet is not affordable, but ticket size is affordable. Mid-level housing is something, if you want to call it, between the 1.5 to 2.5, 3 crore, depending on which market you are in. Third is luxury. ठीक है. Now within luxury, they've made it uber luxury. I'll put it as one only for this chat that we're having. Affordable housing gets impacted the most if interest rates rise. क्यों? EMI goes from 8 to 8.5%. Sejal will ask, अरे विशाल 0.5% EMI में कितना बढ़ जाता है?
बहुत ज़्यादा.
That gets impacted, but its bigger problem is not the EMI. The bigger problem is eligibility of the loan. I want a 1 crore home. At 8%, I could get a loan of 70 lakhs. अभी 8.5 हो गया ना? The loan eligibility from 70 lakhs becomes 62 lakhs. Now I can't buy the home.
I get.
So while the EMI hurts, like you said, the eligibility part is what kills most people. Mid-level housing, it's in a way the sweet spot. You do a good size thing, good brand, thoda amenities, it works. Luxury buyer, he is the most demanding. Okay, that's why luxury, na, if you look at it, it gets sold mostly close to completion or after completion. तो वो जो buyer है ना, 50 करोड़ का घर ले रहा है, वो सोच रहा है कि मैं अभी क्यों लूँ? मैं 2 करोड़ ज़्यादा दे दूँगा at completion, but then I'll see the full product. Then I know what I'm paying for, na. He'll wait for it. What makes a luxury product is 3 or 4 things in my view. One is, in Mumbai, I'm saying, it should be seafront. Sea view nahi hai. This is another confusion many people make. Sea view versus sea facing. Sea view क्या है मुंबई में? हर building से you get some degree of sea view. Given the way Mumbai is as an island, right? इस साइड से मिलता है, इस साइड से एक बाथरूम के कॉर्नर से मिलता है, एक लिविंग रूम के साइड से मिलता है, Sea front is between you and the sea, there's nothing. Worldly sea face, Marine Drive, Carter Road. 2, it has to be not a redevelopment project. Redevelopment का खेल क्या है? Sejal owns an apartment here. अभी इसको एक free flat मिल रहा है in the same building, redeveloped building. That 50 crore customer, 30 crore customer, he does not want to share space with people who he thinks are not of his league. So most people, when you builders who are not doing redevelopment, they'll advertise, sir, all apartments are for sale. No apartments for the earlier redevelopment, earlier owners who will come in a way, not corrupt the gentry, but there'll be a mismatch of gentry.
Right. And also they say buy invite only.
Buy invite. Buy invite is the pinnacle.
Right.
वो जो करते हैं ना, but it takes courage to do that.
Right.
And actually, मतलब, one is advertising कि I do buy invitation. Two is actually doing it. The guys who do that, no, they are supremely confident that they can sell.
Right.
एक project है वर्ली प्रभा देवी में Oberoi 360 West.
Right.
You don't get a chance to go in only as most people. If you're a prospective buyer,
Right.
you have to actually be vetted. कि can you come and visit the project?
Oh.
You have the money. I want to come and see it.
Right.
But it's not that you can just walk in. So most people, even at the ultra premium level, they have not been inside.
Because obviously, you know, there is that class difference, but there is also, I think it is also important to understand that money doesn't buy class. So you wouldn't want to, you know, share your house with everyone who has money. It might be unethical money, and you might not want to share the same space as those people.
Exactly. And I think that is the strategy, right? Also, I think it creates that degree of appeal, you know, in a project. Ki you can't come and see it. Now that wealthy guy wants to see it only. You cannot see it. अरे मुझे देखना ही है. कुछ भी कर.
Right. नहीं, मैंने एक चीज़ notice करी. It works at certain places. It does not work at certain places. So I remember going out for dinner at this very expensive restaurant with a friend, right? And I've tried different kind of cuisine. So obviously I can't buy luxury real estate, but I can buy luxury food at the moment, right? So I went for this dinner to this very fancy place, and apparently I drink, but my friend who I was there with doesn't drink. So obviously if somebody else is not drinking, aap bhi nahi, you will not drink. So we're going through the menu, and we just asked them, okay, can you please guide us through the menu? So the restaurant was a bit rude to us, right? So we didn't really like it. But when I traveled with the same friend and did a trip to Singapore, we went to this, luxury jewelry provider called Shome. And those people were so polite. They knew that, okay, currently we can't buy that ring. But when we went to that store, they made us feel so special that now whenever I have to go and buy, I would never go to that restaurant, but I would always go to that ring provider if I can afford it.
You know, this is where I think a lot of how you groom your staff comes into play. You know, you have to think luxury.
Right.
You know, the staff that was at a restaurant, no, I'm sure he would have come from a background which is not luxury.
Right.
उसको transaction देखना है.
Right.
उसको मुझे he is thinking कि Sejal and her friend have come. If they are not going to be really affording the entire experience and all, why waste time?
Right.
That Singapore shop knows कि I am doing it for my own self branding.
Right.
But I wanted to feel that when they come again, when they can afford, they think only and only of me.
Right, no, they were so nice that, you know, okay, like, you know, maybe whenever you come next time, maybe after 5-6 years, you know, you have my card, now you have to visit us. So that left an impression on us. Like, ideally, I'm not exactly the customer for those rings, because unka jo ring hai, right, they make it like a tiara. And for me, that design isn't the best design. But I was like, yeah, I have to visit this person because the way they made me feel. Even I went to Indian Accent recently in Delhi, and I was so happy with the service. The chef came to us, and, you know, he gave us extra food. Now, it doesn't matter, but the way he treated us just made us feel so special at that point of time that I was like, yaar, wo jo dusre wala restaurant tha, wahan pe kabhi bhi nahi jana hai. And Indian Accent is like 10 times or 100 times more premium. And I'd go to that restaurant. Just the way how they made me feel. The chef came to us and greeted us.
I think these are small things that make the big difference, no?
Right.
You know, I'll give you one context in terms of housing space. एक buyer था, he told me a very good example.
Ji.
He wanted to buy an apartment in this project called Rustomjee Crowne in Prabha Devi.
Rustomjee Crowne, yeah.
ठीक है? About 2 years back or so. So this is a guy who made a lot of money in the stock market.
Right.
Okay. In 2019 या 18, he went to Rustomjee Seasons.
Right.
ठीक है? A project which is cheaper than Crown. Okay. वहाँ पे वो गया and he didn't have the money.
Right.
Okay. वो push कर रहा था कि can I afford it, can I not afford it. Okay. He said, when I asked him why you look at Crown, so you know Vishal, when I was looking for these purchases now at 2019-18 जो भी था, I went to many of these developers, the big branded ones. I got the feeling that they were looking at me with the body language कि तेरी औकात क्या है यहाँ पे आने की. Right. Rustomjee Seasons was out of my budget. Okay. And he said, you know, I think they also realized with the way I was asking questions ना कि मैं नहीं ले पाऊँगा.
Right.
I left that thing, but that feeling that they made me feel ना कि he can't afford it ना, ठीक है, he's still a customer.
Right.
I have to treat him well.
Right.
ठीक है, कभी ना कभी तो ले लेगा वो.
Right.
Now see how this is the circle of life, right? He went and bought an apartment in Rustomjee Crowne, which is double the price of Rustomjee Seasons because of that experience.
Right.
So never ever discount a customer. You never know who is your customer.
Right.
Treat people well. Now when I'm sure many developers, if they do a research on this, how you treat every customer, you realize he's actually a brand ambassador.
Right. No, I see. I've never been to the Rustomjee project, but there is this building of Rustomjee outside Juhu, and
Elements.
Elements, and I personally think it's very nice. So for some reason, I was like, yeah, kisi din na I want to see how this project is done. So obviously, right now I'm in no position to buy a flat, but I am in a position to rent a flat. And abhi to I'm happy with this apartment. But I was like, yeah, this township looks so good, and the way they've made it, and the whole craft of that place has been done. It's very clean. The construction is very clean.
So Rustomji's done some good projects in his entire repertoire that he's put out. I won't say all, but I think some projects of his are very good.
So you mentioned sea view and seafront, right? So abhi recently, I think Rakesh Jhunjhunwala's wife Rekha bought the whole building just to ensure that she gets her sea view, right? So abhi जैसे हम बोल रहे हैं कि luxury real estate या जो luxury buyer है उसका mindset ही different है. So can you give more examples of such a mindset?
You know, Rekha Jhunjhunwala is the first I'd seen of this case, and in fact, I was the one who broke that story on she buying the entire building. The thing is, see, eventually it's how much money you really have and you're willing to give it away, right? I think for people like her at that strata, you think कि boss मुझे अपना privacy तो चाहिए, मेरा खुद का building, that building is only for the building that they own already, is only for them. It's a building called RaRe Villa. Okay.
RaRe Villa.
Huh. Because Rakesh ka RA and Rekha ka RE.
Oh.
That's how it is. Okay. RaRe Villa. Now that was Malabar Hill, great views. But in front of it was that building Rockside. Okay. जो redevelopment के लिए जाने वाला था. She doesn't want someone to block her view. Okay. So you buy the entire building. Now you जो करना है करो. ठीक है. Now that's a great strategy if you have so much money. But you know, every super wealthy person, they have these one or two non-negotiables which they will never let go of.
Right.
In Mumbai, I realized that the non-negotiable is seafront.
Seafront.
There is no other non-negotiable.
Right.
Pool, gym, सबके पास है अभी तो.
Right.
What really separates me?
Right.
We will see a world in Mumbai in the next 10 years where the promoters of companies will be staying on the seafront of Worli Seaface, Carter Road, Bandstand, जो भी है. Their top heavyweights, okay, will be staying one level behind. Their mid-level will be here. The other guys, in a way, will be right behind. So the demarcation will be that way. Seafront, super wealthy. Next, behind them, wealthy. So on and so forth back. And this is, in a way, I'll say a global trend. Okay? Like the most expensive market in the world. It's a city-state called Monaco. Her ghar over there is over $1 million.
Because I think everyone over there is also a millionaire or something.
You have to, na? Otherwise you can't buy it over there. Okay. A 1 BHK over there costs more than $1 million. ठीक है, आपका जो ऐसा घर है, वो वहाँ पे $1 million है. And if you see a picture of Monaco, na, it's that same format. Everybody gets the view because it's aligned like this on a hill, the coast, towards weather, सब कुछ अच्छा है. Mumbai is going through that. Okay. Just that because we have the ability to go skyscrapers, तो पीछे वाले को view नहीं मिलेगा. There it's aligned like a pyramid. Escobar, okay, the drug lord. Okay.
Pablo Escobar.
Colombia ka heavyweight, one of the wealthiest men. He created an estate the size of 7,000 acres.
Wow.
Okay, for living. Okay. Now 7,000 acres, what is it? Like acres is a big thing, right? But assume 30 times the size of Hirandani Gardens, Powai.
Wow.
That's his address. Okay. Now why does he want it over there? There's a zoo inside. Zoo inside.
Okay.
Or there was a zoo at least. Okay. So you have elephants, this, that, everything. Why do I want that experience? Okay.
Because paisa.
I want exclusivity.
Oh.
Luxury or ultra luxury means exclusivity.
Right.
I don't want to share space. Okay. The wealthy want community.
Right.
Okay. People like you, me, whichever, whatever bracket you want to call ourselves in. Ultra luxury wants privacy, exclusivity.
Right.
They don't want to share space.
Right.
Sejal is there, okay. I want only 10 apartments. Okay, I'm not. I example में I'm just. I just want 10 apartments around me.
Right.
Okay. जैसे एक project है India Bulls Blue. there are multiple towers, पर एक tower है जहाँ पे they have very limited number of units and the
Right.
configurations are very big.
Right.
वो सबसे ज़्यादा premium पे जाता है.
Right.
That luxury buyer को ना, I want only 20 neighbors,
Right.
50 neighbors. मतलब माधुरी दीक्षित bought there some months back.
Right.
But that's the mindset of the ultra luxury buyer. Seafront, exclusivity, gentry around me.
Right.
Okay. All those things are what make a luxury project.
So Vishal, for tier 1 real estate, we've spoken about Mumbai अभी, but और कौन सी ऐसी locations हैं tier 1 के अंदर जहाँ पे fabulous work is happening?
So the three big markets, so the four big markets are Mumbai, Bangalore, Gurgaon,
Right.
and Pune and Hyderabad.
Right.
Okay. So one relatively unknown fact about Indian real estate, हम लोग को लगता है मुंबई में is Mumbai, the world starts and ends in Mumbai.
Right.
Okay. It's not that. Luxury wise, Gurgaon has sold more in 2023 than Mumbai. Builder sales. Okay.
Right.
Hyderabad has sold more than Bangalore and Mumbai
Right.
in the 1 to 2 crore segment.
Right.
Okay.
जी.
So the market is big. Each one has their, in a way, USPs. Okay. Mumbai is the most expensive.
Right.
It's been the most expensive for at least 200 years.
Right.
Okay. Even the Britishers, when they used to come, na, during the
Right.
colonial times, they used to think, "Arey, Bombay mein aake ash karenge." Okay. The army officer and his wife.
Right.
Then they used to come over here. Arey, यहाँ पे तो savings ही नहीं होती.
Right.
Okay. Mumbai's appeal is professional workforce, scarcity of land.
Right.
And it's a hub for commerce.
Right.
Gurgaon has come out of nowhere, right?
Right.
In a way, Gurgaon, it's actually our very own self-created city.
It's extended Delhi.
It's extended Delhi now. I know a lot of people, Delhi guys, को लगता है कि Gurgaon थोड़ा नीचे है. One of the biggest trends that's happening in the last 3 years is the migration from Delhi to Gurgaon.
Right.
Why? Lifestyle experience.
But
Commerce has shifted.
But Vishal, over here, I agree with those Delhi people. I'm not saying Gurgaon is bad, but I agree because you have looked at Lutyens Delhi, right, and all that posh areas where there's big government buildings and all, and houses given to all these diplomats, etc., etc. You go to that area, nothing matches.
So, see, that part is beautiful, okay? But how many people have access to it, right?
Very expensive.
So, the alternative when you have those standalone houses in Delhi, after a while, people of your generation, right, they will want, I want the lifestyle experience. I just don't want a house and come out of the house, I'm on the road. I want community, pool, gym, vim, jo bhi hai. So, where do I go? Delhi has issue of land. Gurgaon becomes the next best bet because now it's very easy because my workplace is also Gurgaon.
Yeah, absolutely. Corporate is in Gurgaon.
So it fits through. It's, if I was to put Gurgaon as an analogy, Gurgaon would be a bit like a much bigger version of BKC and Bandra East and the surrounding neighborhood. पहले सब activity was elsewhere. अभी यहाँ पे आ गया BKC and those areas around it grew. Which is why now it's thriving in luxury. Mumbai ka wealth comes from what? Like if you look at the India map, okay. Most people who are in Mumbai, and the western part of India, equity.
Right.
Southern part, a lot of their savings, where do they go? Gold.
Right.
North wala jo banda hai na, land.
Land. Fasal.
In fact, you'll be surprised that a lot of these land deals that are happening close to Mumbai, पता है उसका customer base कौन है? दिल्ली वाला. They try to sell to Mumbai. Okay. Mumbai वाला is very practical. 2 hours away from Mumbai, but ठीक है, क्या करूँगा मैं वो लेके? Doesn't make sense to do it. They tried to sell. It flopped. और मैं किसको पकड़ूँ?
Delhi. Because we're used to big houses, right?
Big house छोड़ो. The part that I own, मेरे पास मुंबई के पास जमीन है. ठीक है, कितनी बड़ी जमीन? 1000 square feet. What can you build there? Not really anything.
Right.
But it's in a way bragging rights.
Right.
Status symbol.
Right.
So, in fact, this was a revelation to me when I was moving around and checking कि ये demand कहाँ से आ रहा है. I'll not be surprised. 60% of these plotted sales, land sales and all are coming from
North India.
So see, these markets that are there, Mumbai is an end user market.
Right.
Bangalore is an end user market. Gurgaon is the end user plus investor market. Okay, I call Gurgaon the FNO market of Indian real estate. बहुत speculation होता है जिसकी वजह से prices go up fast but come down also. Mumbai, Bangalore में prices will not fall sharply.
And Mumbai buyers are very practical. I remember going to a few of my clients and asking them कि आपका कोई ऐसा घर खाली पड़ा है मुंबई में? And these are very big AUM companies, right? So it is obvious because चलो हम जहाँ चंडीगढ़ दिल्ली साइड लोगों के पास 2-3 घर होते हैं, right? As in सबके पास नहीं है, but it is a bit normal as a phenomena. So when I spoke to 2 of my clients, they said we can maybe help you find a house on rent, but हमारे पास ऐसे 2-3 घर नहीं होते हैं, right? And they're very practical as buyers. कि like
I'm not at all surprised. Mumbai का buyer ना, he's a very very smart buyer. He doesn't get swayed by emotion too much. NCR is the best buyer actually. If I was a builder ना, मुझे NCR के पास ही जाने का है, पूरा चिपका सकता हूँ.
But in NCR also, NCR actually north area, there was a builder called Parsavnath. Have you heard of him?
Listed also.
Yeah. So when they were building a township, they had taken a big area in North India, Chandigarh area. वहाँ पे ना IT park है चंडीगढ़ में, ठीक है? And it is called Rajiv Gandhi IT Park. It was built during that tech boom and all. And वहाँ पे उन्होंने बहुत ज़मीन दी थी IT उनको, तो उसी के आसपास there was a project called परसमनाथ का कोई project था, right? And it failed so badly because there were no buyers for it. तो हम luxury की बात कर रहे हैं selling. So also building real estate and understanding the buyer is very different because real estate बनने में 5 से 6 साल लगते हैं. And buyer का mind भी change होता है, right? Like very volatile. So I think getting into building projects is also a very difficult task, and also there's a lot of red tapeism in India. So
look, construction is the toughest business in India.
Right.
So go there only if you have the time, patience, resources to do it. Right. Otherwise you'll get rogered. वो बहुत थोड़ा वो लोग को बहुत वो hype लगता है ना, मैं builder हूँ. Right. To be honest, I've not understood that thing because when you say builder, the common person says तू चोर है. Right. But there is that inherent thrill. Right. I'm a builder, and they go in with these big ambitions. इतना पैसा बन रहा है, इतना ये होता है. Then when the project is complete ना, 80% are sulking. अरे कुछ पैसा बना ही नहीं. Right. मेरे को लगा कि after project is done, I was working for the government, taxes देने में, या for the lender, interest भरने में.
I think it's a thankless job, right? And आजकल one more thing is happening. A lot of builders build malls, and malls have become like ghost ऐसा पूरा खाली building. So are people also redeveloping these malls into something, and is that an opportunity?
So that will get redeveloped. I think malls have some distance to go. I think the idea for mall is, what? It creates life. Right. That's why every big township project you see now, they will have a mall. Right. Okay? Or they'll try to do a mall at least. Okay. Because that brings in people, right. And then once the people come in, then you sell the house to them. Right. How do I attract, say, somebody Lodha Palava? Right. Okay. It's far, far, far away. I'm sure Sejal has not been there. Okay. And it's very unlikely you'll go there also. Okay. Right. But how do I get people there? I have to create some life around it. Right. So one thing is, the buyer anyway comes to me. Right. 2, I have to attract him. Right. I have to create such a big mall that people from far, far away come over here. Once they come over here, then they'll see the entire place. Right? Mall यहाँ पे, school यहाँ पे, hospital यहाँ पे, घर यहाँ पे, सब कुछ यहाँ पे. Then why don't shift here? Right. So mall is in a way the hook.
Right. That opportunity.
Like यहाँ पे अजमेरा, वडाला, you know the area. Right. ठीक है. He got IMAX, okay, to Mumbai, because when he was constructing 25-30 years back, it was in the middle of nowhere. कुछ नहीं था. Why would somebody come? So IMAX law. IMAX came, then things got sorted, and now you see the type of township it's become, right?
See, I don't know the full story of Dubai, but the first thing that I heard about Dubai was Burj Khalifa, and just to see that Burj Khalifa, so many people from India went to Dubai, out of my friend group, and then उसके बाद now Dubai is a very common destination because हर किसी को दुबई जाना है.
These are tourist attractions, architecture. We do not realize in India, we don't give that much emphasis, but buildings can drive tourism. हम लोग को लगता है कि tourism मतलब क्या? Food tourism, historical monument tourism, business tourism.
वो किसी को interest नहीं आजकल.
Building tourism I think is going to be the future. That why am I coming here?
That experience.
And of all the sectors, if you ask me Sejal, right. We spoke senior living, right. Warehousing, residential. The one I am most bullish about, right. is this historical real estate tourism.
Historical real estate tourism. जैसे example दो, जैसे ताज महल है वो तो सबने visit कर ही लिया, तो what do you mean by historical?
So, will you want to go and see where Jinnah stayed and where Jinnah and Gandhi and Nehru sat and did their partition dealings. Okay, that's a lot of Indians would not want to reimagine that, but as an example. Okay. Two, would you like to know where uh, Gandhi lived when he was in Mumbai? Okay.
Right.
That, if you look at our history now, there's a lot of fortune in it, right? Now, most people will not appeal to it.
Right.
Most people will not. It'll be that 0.001% now. I made so much money. I have everything at my disposal.
Right.
What more do I really want?
The rarest of the rare.
That will be it.
Like, see, nowadays, Taj is managing these palaces. Now, that is something I would want to put my money in as like a Gen Z person, right? Like, I think Taj Falaknuma is doing an excellent job. Even this Rambagh Palace, and I would love to stay there. So that is something that I might be interested in. So this might come under, historical, realistic.
This is tourism where people will go, right?
Right.
You can experience the feel.
Yeah.
Imagine buying property. I'm not saying Rambagh Palace and all. But
I would love to.
You would love to, I'm sure, and then I will hope sometime in the near future you can do it. But how about buying that property where all these guys stayed in?
Right.
Okay? Like Rakesh Damani,
Right.
the owner of DMart.
Right.
Okay. He clearly does not have shortage of money.
Right.
He bought the most expensive house of India, a
Right.
bungalow in Nepean Road, 1,000 crores.
Only.
1,000 crores only. Okay. But a builder ki tarah na hoना. Only 1,000 crores. You will go over there.
Right.
It's a old heritage bungalow.
Right.
It has a lot of history on it. Okay. Why did he take it? If I was to just think, I don't know him,
Right.
but he wanted one privacy exclusivity.
Right.
ठीक है? I'm the only one living there. वो बंगलो most situations of मुंबई क्या है? बंगलो मिलता है, demolish करते हैं, बड़ा बिल्डिंग बना देते हैं. वो कुछ नहीं कर रहा.
Right.
ठीक है? It's my own. I'm not doing it for the money, no. Third, I have a feeling that for most of these guys, they want to be in that league where they can say, this is where ABC stayed. I think that is the cream of the cream.
Right.
And I think I think Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, given the type of rich history we have, we can really milk it.
Right. So, like, look at Antilia, right? Antilia is in the middle of it is a great place. It's on the top of a hill kind of a thing. But it's very complicated as a location, right? If I were Mukesh Ambani, I would rather just build it on the outskirts of Mumbai when I know that I have a helicopter on me. The helicopter है फिर क्या ही दिक्कत traffic का. Why would somebody build Antilia at such a crowded place?
So, okay, actually it's crowded. See, it's also relative, that location.
Right.
Okay, it's right on the top.
Right.
You get a full view from that Altamont Road. Where exactly can you want to be, if not seafront?
Right.
Because here it's a bit like you want the best of both worlds, right?
Right.
I'm sure, if I was to guess, Mukesh Ambani will take a seafront property in Mumbai in the next 3 years or 5 years.
Right.
ठीक है? जैसे ईशा अंबानी का वर्ली सीफेस पे है with Piramal, he will take something on the seafront. When he took that, the seafront option was not there.
Right.
Okay, but as a location, great. It's exclusive yet disconnected. You want the location to be so disconnected that Sejal, Vishal cannot easily access it.
But it's a cuboid-like house, no?
Okay, so see, that's also taste, right? I know a lot of people have differing views on
Right.
is the best building or not, but वो सबका individual taste रहता है.
Right.
Think of it like there's an island called Fisher Island in the US.
Right.
Okay, it's close to the city,
Right.
but you need a boat
Okay.
to go there. Okay, that is one of the wealthiest parts of America.
Right.
Okay, why? I'm close, but I'm disconnected.
I think even Bel Air, right, as a specific location in the US, ki very exclusive.
Bel Air, I don't think I'll put in the same league, but I basically understand your point that you're saying ki
Rich people.
rich ka thing, and you want to be close but disconnected.
Right.
So I think it's the same thing with Ambani and all these guys. You don't want to be so much. You don't want to be at a road where people drive by every day.
Right.
It has to be like a dead end
Right.
where people cannot passing by and saying, "अरे ये इसका घर है, ये इसका घर है."
But वो तो होता है अंबानी के घर के बाहर.
वो दूर से ना मतलब you see like that road which you see security always outside, no?
Yeah, absolutely. I just sometimes pass 7-8 times just to see who's inside. उसके guards हमको देखने लग जाते हैं.
You should probably knock sometime and see if they allow you. And I think,
I'll just shout, Anand.
and yeah, maybe become friends that watch and all.
I need that 2 crore watch, man.
But yeah, I think that's the way forward in my view. I think buildings, wealth, because those will go at astronomical prices.
Right.
In Mumbai, ka rate for premium buildings is about 1.5 lakh rupees per square feet.
Right.
No? Super premium. Okay.
Right.
A bit lesser here and there. The most expensive deals, if you look at it on a per square feet basis, they happen in Hong Kong,
Okay.
which is close to about 10 lakh rupees
Right.
per square feet. Will Mumbai reach there? No, I'm not saying that.
Shouldn't.
It shouldn't, of course it shouldn't. And it won't also. But can we see levels of 2 lakh, 3 lakh? I think so. It's easily attainable because the number of wealthy people in Mumbai is very high.
Right.
And they will be willing to pay any price for that once in a lifetime experience.
But Vishal, I'm also noticing a lot of HNIs and UHNIs are leaving India now because we have everything besides a quality of lifestyle, right? Quality would be not being stuck in the traffic, being okay with my child playing in the park, or clean air. So do you see that happening over here as well, where people are like, यार नहीं मुंबई में घर नहीं रहना, अब reverse migration भी हो रहा है कि थोड़ा खुला एरिया में जाते हैं या फिर abroad जाते हैं.
See, abroad I see happening.
Right.
Okay, abroad will keep happening, and because like you said, quality of life nahi hai, so that wealthy guy will say, you know what?
सब कुछ है बस quality of life चाहिए.
And eventually you earn money for quality of life, right? So ऐसा you should not be in the situation कि पैसा बहुत है पर life ही नहीं है. Then what's the point of earning the money? I don't see actually reverse migration happening to a large extent among the super wealthy.
Right.
Okay. क्योंकि cities have survived because of a very big intangible vibe.
Right.
Okay. Why once you can create an intangible feature to your city, your project, your building, whatever space,
Right.
very tough to penetrate that. Because what are you really fighting against? When somebody says, I want to take this cafe on or this bar on,
Right.
why does it work? Nobody will say this bar works because वहाँ पे Kingfisher का beer is cheaper.
वो तो हर जगह ही मिलता है.
Nobody will say that. When you go there, you feel it.
The vibe, the crowd you meet.
The crowd, the vibe, the energy, the space, even co-working.
Right.
Why does WeWork work? Right, in a way. So when you go there,
Community of startup founders.
community, vibe, the energy. In fact, WeWork, Navi Mumbai,
Right.
as a location, when you go over there, there's good quality of life, but there's no vibe whatsoever there. No vibe. Okay?
Right.
The only one place where I found vibe in Navi Mumbai was the WeWork at the L&T, that Seawoods का mall है ना,
Right.
यहाँ पे area में. That was the only place I saw it. And but once you create it now,
Right.
you are unbeatable.
Right.
मतलब the rent and all can beat you, but as competition you can't be beat.
It's unbeatable. मतलब कि it's all about the community, right? And at the end of the day, people are paying for that experience. So you mentioned Hong Kong where rates are like 10 lakh rupees square foot. Let's talk about the China real estate crisis as well, right? कि इतने ही flat बना दिए मतलब supply demand से ज़्यादा है. So can you speak something about that? And also, is that happening in India as well now with projects?
So no, I don't think India is close to what China is. Do you see China? Okay, just for context, China may about 70% of the household savings are invested in real estate. Okay, it contributes whatever 30% of the GDP.
Right.
Construction as a sector,
number.
big number. India is half and 1/3 of that, just for context. Okay, so China's problem was that people thought that you can keep buying houses
Right.
at locations which are coming up but nobody's living there, right?
Right.
Investment better.
Multi-bagger.
Multi-bagger. And the problem with this rising prices thing at all times is that after a point,
Right.
the moment the engine stops,
Right.
the cookie crumbles.
Right.
Okay. तो वहाँ पे क्या हुआ? So many cities got built.
Right.
Buildings, people have bought. But they not find 20 people there.
Right.
मतलब a full city of maybe...
Ghost city.
A ghost city. मतलब 1,000 acre का city होगा, but the number of people living there will be equivalent of your building.
Right.
Okay. So at some point, the Chinese government decided that, boss, this will not work.
Right.
It's too dangerous. So they cracked down on people who were leveraging too much.
Evergrande.
And Evergrande got rogered there. China has a very unique different model also, that they don't let prices fall too much. There are rules.
Right.
You cannot cut prices by 15%, 20%.
They're very controlled कि हमको अपना economy हर चीज़ ही controlled है वहाँ पे.
But as a business, demand नहीं है. How do I get demand now? I have to cut prices ना. वो तो ऐसा हुआ कि जैसे इंडिया में पहले होता था ना कि डिमांड नहीं है, सेल्स नहीं हो रही, पर मैं रेट गिराऊंगा नहीं. क्यों?
क्योंकि रूल है ऐसा.
Unwritten rule ना.
Cartel type.
इंडिया का वो अनरिटन रूल था ना. If you cut rates, what will my earlier investors say? Nobody went and thought कि यार बॉस इन्वेस्टर्स को तूने बेचा है 30%, 70 बेचना है तेरे को. Forget the investor, think about the remaining 70%. Okay. So China has that issue, and see it's very tough to break this thing because बहुत collateral damage है China में if real estate fails, because the number of people who have stake in real estate is too much. So it will be, I think, a slow gradual recovery. Pain तो बहुत हो गया है, ठीक है. Maybe it will continue maybe 1-2 years more. But that is a model we should never try to replace. Never. The real estate was a complete mess there.
इंडिया में नहीं चल पाएगा because I think वहाँ पे गवर्नमेंट कंट्रोल कर लेती है. इंडिया में it is free market, right? So free market में कुछ और ही extremes होंगे.
And that's a healthy thing, you know. You find price discovery happens sooner, no? मतलब think of it this way. लोग बोलते हैं ना 2013 से 2020 कुछ नहीं हुआ prices को. I think recovery would have happened faster in real estate if you had builders had cut rates, got the demand, constructed the building, and cycle would have picked up. Which is what happened after COVID, no? Builders did the same thing.
हाँ, but पहले कर देते.
If they had done it early, it would have recovered faster. We have that mindset, you know. I think developers have not thought it through. क्योंकि पहले उनको लगता था कि most demand is investors. ठीक है? तो I have to keep the investor happy. The investors went out. अरे तो investor को छोड़ ना भाई, तो end user को पकड़. He is your market. He bought at a lower price or higher price. It should not matter to you.
अब बस बेचो.
बेचो, simple चीज.
Right. Cut your losses and sell. Simple.
Which is the thing I am seeing that developers are doing this time. So credit to developers now. Now they're very clear. End user ही चाहिए boss, and we will not let the engine go below third gear. Market ठंडा हो रहा है. Find a way to boost it up.
So विशाल, हम जब बात करते हैं, you know, real estate is very hot. कुछ लोग बोलते हैं real estate market ठंडा है. Is there a bubble going around real estate?
So see, in India, most markets are not a bubble. Okay. The closest bubble I see in India is like an NCR bubble. Right. But NCR is either in bubble or in bust territory. मतलब बीच का कुछ रहता नहीं वहाँ पे. Bangalore is stable. Mumbai is stable. You know, bubble का feature is, in fact, the biggest bubble. Right. Okay. Can you imagine a city where prices have gone up 400 times in 5 years?
India में?
Not India. Achha. 400 times in 5 years.
Which? Where?
So Chicago, okay. In the 1830s, वहाँ पे the story is follow infrastructure, okay. वहाँ पे that time rail was not available as a mode of transport. Right. You needed to do by water. वहाँ पे कहानी आ गई कि वहाँ पे canal build करेंगे. Right. Okay. So because in anticipation of that, prices over a 5 to 6 year period in the land close to that canal, right, they went up 400 times.
Wow. And people were buying.
People are buying. Speculation. A lot of lending went towards this land purchase only. You know, right. Most times bubbles get formed because there's very easy money. The bank is giving easy money, loan. Then of course the bubble burst, right, and prices went down 70-80% after that. Right. But at that period, I don't think since then we have seen any bubble of that extent in 200 years. Wow. Anywhere in the world, I don't think we have seen that. We have bubbles, but that was like a mega bubble.
Right. So Vishal, अभी हमने bubble का बात करा, tier 1 का बात करा, tier 2, tier 3 पे आते हैं, right? And what I've realized is there is a lot of fortune at the bottom of the pyramid. अभी कुछ दिन पहले I got to know about an app called ShareChat, and it is a unicorn, and I'm not using it, but tier 2, tier 3 is using it. Flipkart की major sales कहाँ पे होती है? Tier 2, tier 3, and बहुत पैसा है इन लोग के पास. So what is the difference between tier 1 versus tier 2, tier 3 real estate? And then उसके बाद अयोध्या की भी बात करते हैं.
So the tier 2, like you said, it's very hot. Okay. Right. Now, see, definition of tier 2, tier 3, it often gets mixed up, but I'll just give what I perceive as a tier 2 city. Like Indore. Right. Or Nasik. Right. Parts of Navi Mumbai, Ahmedabad. Right. Okay, now Ahmedabad will be tier 1 in many categories, but given that our government also puts Bangalore not as a metro, I'm just putting flexibility wise in that way. I think these markets are very good. Okay. Tier 2 or any city grows because of one factor only.
Right.
Migration, migration, migration.
Migration. From tier 1 or from tier 3?
From tier 3 and from tier 1. If you get both of them, it's an ideal mix.
Right.
Okay. Now, I know the common perception kya real estate. Real estate is location, location, location.
Ji.
It's true. But one level higher than that is real estate is migration, migration, migration. If you're able to attract migrants,
Right.
that city will thrive.
Right.
In property prices.
Huh.
Governance maybe not, but prices may it will. So I think Indore has laid a very good foundation for itself.
Right.
It just needs, many of these tier 2 markets, they need someone to market them.
Right.
Okay. People think, अरे इंदौर क्यों जाऊँगा, नासिक क्यों जाऊँगा, अहमदाबाद क्यों जाऊँगा, यहाँ पे तो ये missing है, वो missing है. It needs a very concerted effort to make that location glamorous.
Right.
Okay. Once you do that, you succeed. Okay. You know, some of the richest markets in the world are places which have very few people, but they have that one status symbol. A ski resort.
Right.
Okay. Like in the US, there's a place called Aspen.
Right.
कुछ नहीं वहाँ पे 10,000 की population नहीं है. It's one of the richest markets, most expensive markets in the world. Why? Because some 70 years back, somebody decided I will build a glamorous ski resort. Then he attracted celebrities.
Right.
And now it's
Crazy.
super. Tier 2 needs that.
Right. Even Hamptons, right? I've heard.
It's that, like when you see in the movies and all,
Right.
I have a place in the Hamptons.
Yeah, and it's very, very fancy.
Very fancy, right? Now, I don't think tier 2 can be that fancy, but the advantage with tier 2 is a lot of open land. So you can actually create something really glamorous from scratch.
Right.
And like Nasik.
Huh.
Nasik, the first thing when I ask Sejal, what comes to your mind?
Sula. And Sula has amazing properties, especially beyond. I visited that. I was staying at the other property, but when I visited beyond, man, I was blown away. I was like, if I had paisa ho, I would love to, buy that place. Not live there, live to abhi, but buy that place.
So see, the first name you said was Sula.
Right.
It's come out of nowhere, right?
Right.
It's built from scratch, no?
Huh.
Can you have 3 or 4 of these Sula type setups in other cities?
Right.
So it needs that, one agency or one concerted effort. Ki, boss, how do you bring life here?
And Vishal, the same thing model has been replicated in Abu Dhabi. See, Dubai is the place where people visit. Abu Dhabi is like, aisa like extra. Dubai ke saath Abu Dhabi add kar lo. Abu Dhabi ko especially nahi jana hai. But when you go to Abu Dhabi, it has Warner Bros. It has also, if I'm not wrong, it has some adventure park. Then it has 4-5 similar essay, attractions. So whenever somebody does Dubai, they also do Abu Dhabi. And now you realize when I visited Abu Dhabi, I was like, yeah, I like Abu Dhabi more than Dubai. And because Dubai is like greater Gurgaon, is what I think, right? Everybody almost looks like me, and that's not the difference. But वहाँ पे सब कुछ same ही है, मुझे लगा गुड़गांव की तरह. But when I went to Abu Dhabi, I realized it's more traditional, and वहाँ पे घर हैं, लोग घरों में रहते हैं, right? It's more like it's horizontal as a city, and I like houses instead of high rise. So for me, Abu Dhabi was amazing, and वहाँ पे आप beach पे जाओगे तो कम लोग हैं, और कम लोग हैं तो वहाँ के beaches भी इतने साफ हैं. If you call Dubai clean, go to Abu Dhabi, you'll say, I would want to stay in water the whole day at Abu Dhabi. So, and that is Abu Dhabi. I'm not sure of the exact story, but when you're giving this comparison, right, एक और adventure जगह खोल दो. Abu Dhabi में 4 ऐसे adventure parks हैं, and then पूरा ऐसा खुला जगह है.
So this example that you're given, it's a very interesting one, because you said you used to treat that as a +1.
Yeah.
Dubai +1. And gradually you're saying I can go there on my own.
Yeah.
Maybe Dubai will become the +1.
Dubai was the +1. I'm not kidding, Vishal. If tomorrow, let's just say, if I have to take my sister for a trip, or in the future, if I have kids, I want to take them for a trip, I'm going to take them to Abu Dhabi first because I love that place.
Now the same thing, if in India we can replicate for our tier 2 cities.
Right.
Okay. That one USP, you have to decide,
Right.
मैं क्या करने वाला हूँ, and make a determined effort to get it done.
Right.
Like Nasik, in my view, is the city which should have been almost like Pune.
Right.
There is no reason for Nasik to struggle the way it is today. It is close to Mumbai.
Right.
Difference, I agree, is one part is the expressway.
Right.
Mumbai-Pune expressway is very good. Mumbai-Nasik highway is one of the worst of all time. Okay, but once you're there,
Right.
it's clean, the weather, the greenery.
Amazing. It feels like as if you're in some kind of like countryside abroad.
It's superb. If in fact, if you were to ask me which city do I see myself in India, if I was not in the metro, living in a metro, I would stay in Nasik. Of course, my wife and daughter agree to it. I don't think they'll agree, but if I could do it, I would love to be in Nasik.
Right.
So pick each city where you have a USP. Indore, Nasik, Ahmedabad, Mysore. NCR तो ठीक है, थोड़ा mysterious हो जाता है. The big issue in many of these markets ना सेजल is that वहाँ पे dealings are not very clean.
Cleaning माने?
Black white का जो होता है ना combo,
Whitewashing.
whitewashing. So because of that, no, you are not able to get these sort of buyers that can really make a market develop.
Right.
सबको लगता है कि हाँ अरे 30, 70, 40, 60 करो ना. Market will then tell you अरे इतना land का rate बढ़ रहा है.
Right.
But that's primary speculation. No. Cities thrive or get developed when end users come, not when investors are there.
Right.
Investors get in for the money, but the city finds its real value when end users start living there.
Like people like us. I have another question, Vishal. देखो जैसे अब स्टॉक मार्केट होता है, राइट? तो स्टॉक मार्केट के अंदर आप प्राइस डिटरमिन कर सकते हो स्टॉक एक्सचेंज को देख के, राइट? BSE पे क्या चल रहा है, NSE पे क्या चल रहा है. रियल एस्टेट के लिए ऐसा कुछ क्यों नहीं है कि लाइक कहते हैं आज हम कहते हैं जुहू में है या अंधेरी वेस्ट में है, राइट? जहाँ पे भी हम लोग हैं, तो मुझे हमको स्पेकुलेट करना पड़ता है. अच्छा विशाल, बताना यहाँ का प्राइस क्या होगा, इंस्टेड कि यार मैं चेक करके बताता हूँ कि यार ये प्राइस है. सो व्हाई इजंट समथिंग लाइक दैट ओवर हियर?
In commercial, we have it through the indirect route, right? REITs are that. Now, I take an exposure to a commercial place. Housing के लिए there is that, it's always been that issue, no? It's a physical asset.
Right.
वो मुझे बेचना है.
Right.
There is no market rate that is there because every plot is different, every building is different, every apartment is different.
प्रोजेक्ट टू प्रोजेक्ट रजिस्टर क्यों नहीं होता है? एंड लाइक कोई ऐसा गवर्निंग बॉडी हो जहाँ पे यू नो द होल बबल थिंग इज कि यार ओवर प्राइस ले लिया एंड देन अब वो खरीदने के लिए कोई नहीं है. एंड दैट हैपेंस टू लॉट ऑफ टाइम कि खंडर में जमीन खरीद ली है. द पीपल से दैट.
Yeah, so I think there could be a solution for that. Like in fact, like we were talking, right?
Right.
That SPV for like fractional ownership.
Right.
Can we create something where your market determined is getting through the exchange?
Right.
Sejal, Vishal, and 20 others own one apartment of 1,000 square feet.
Right.
Okay, we own whatever small percentage of it, and that gets traded.
Right.
So then we know कि ये building,
हाँ.
आपका building का नाम I'm forgetting now, but
हाँ.
either way, that becomes a benchmark.
Right.
I think we might migrate to that, but I don't think it will happen soon.
Something like fractional bond, वैसी fractional ownership of this building or whatever.
I think fractional ownership, in fact, I'm very optimistic that it will come to residential. अभी क्या fractional ownership है? It is mainly for the commercial assets,
Right.
not residential.
हाँ.
क्योंकि residential में क्यों नहीं है? क्योंकि why will somebody buy a residential asset for 2% yield?
Right.
You take it for warehousing. 7-8% मिल रहा है ना? Instead of putting FD, I'll put it there.
Right. And warehousing, the industry grows by 150% is something that I heard someone say. I don't know अगर होता है, but growth बहुत है उसमें.
It's a small base to grow. It'll grow up for the next 10 years. All these industries, data centers, warehousing, senior living, residential. तो इतना mature industry already है, so the base is very high.
Absolutely mature है, but बहुत unorganized है. खिचड़ी.
You're right. Khichdi is the right word actually. Khichdi is the right word.
खिचड़ी, राइट? सो लाइक अगर कभी भी आप रियल एस्टेट की बात करोगे, एक तो ऐसा अंकल टाइप होगा बंदा जो बोलेगा यार रियल एस्टेट बेटा इज द बेस्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट, यू नो, एट अ फैमिली डिस्कशन. another person would be like a influencer or a person coming on reels and saying real estate is terrible. There is no in between talking about it.
Yeah, so see, I think both of them are talking from their own interest, right?
Right.
From point of view. The uncle who's there,
Right.
he is probably right in his way कि real estate खरीदो because he's gained from that one
Right.
7 or 8 year cycle where 2000 early 2000 से late 2010 तक the market was very hot.
Right.
Okay, so he's made money. So for him, his wealth that's a source, right? Influencers, I think, either ideologically or not, they believe that it should not be because there's a execution risk. घर मिलेगा कि नहीं?
Right.
Liquidity risk, like you said, मैं घर इतनी जल्दी बेच नहीं सकता. So better to go for an asset where you can quickly buy and sell.
Right.
I think, see, I actually agree more with the influencers.
Right.
Okay, now I don't like many of them. I must concede that. But I see merit in why they advocate what they do.
Right.
Which is why real estate you have to play
Right.
only as a home.
Right.
Okay. Speculation करना है ना?
Right.
Speculate on the stock.
Right.
Okay. Just, I'll put it this way, Sejal. Should you buy the property
Right.
of a builder
हाँ.
or should you buy his stock?
Right.
I will say buy his stock.
Right. Because वो अपना प्रॉफिट मैक्सिमाइज करेगा, बट प्रॉपर्टी के अंदर वो कोशिश करेगा कि यू नो जो है बेच दो.
हाँ, and also if you want to sell his stock, then sell it like this.
Right.
Two, you okay. every company,
Right.
ठीक है, real estate company,
हाँ.
which has listed,
Right.
okay, if you had bought their stock versus buying their property, you have made more money.
Okay.
Okay, right from Godrej, Lodha, Oberoi, whatever, ठीक है, उनका Oberoi Garden City के बदले you had bought the Oberoi stock, you would have made more money.
Right.
Godrej का one property, instead of buying that, you had bought the Godrej stock, you would have made more money.
Right.
Okay, so I see a reason why it's appealing to from the influencer's point of view. क्योंकि property is administration of the vehicle, the asset, managing. Most people have a very romantic notion of buying a house now. After you buy the house,
You realize
1 year के बाद you realize अरे इतने खर्चे होते हैं क्या?
बहुत ज़्यादा. अभी मैं रेंट कर रही हूँ तो बिजली का बिल, सिलेंडर का बिल, एसी का बिल, एसी खराब हो जाता तो उसका बिल. Right, so it is a big pain. Also, I remember once renting a commercial area. Right, so commercial area में I had holidays and my parents said that 1 month you do. उस time I was not earning इतना. Right, 1 month हम करेंगे, 1 month तू कर, start करते हैं. मैंने वहाँ स्टूडियो बनाने की कोशिश करी. पहली बात तो एको, फिर उसके बाद विंटर्स का टाइम था, ठंड लगती थी. राइट, एंड आई रियलाइज इन दी एंड कि इससे बेटर मैं घर में बैठ जाऊँ, बिकॉज इट इज़ हैसलसम. Unless you're having a running office or something, building a studio at a commercial place is very very difficult. And rate मीटर का रेट कटता है, राइट, तो हर रोज़ का वहाँ पे कट होता है. ऐसा नहीं कि जब आप यूज़ करोगे.
No, so I think people who buy these fancy projects, ना amenities के साथ, the first hit that they get, is what?
Right.
They are the owners, ठीक है? The maintenance bill.
मेंटेनेंस बहुत महंगी है.
And that time they think, I'm buying into this property, glamorous, ये वो investment के लिए. वो रेट पड़ता नहीं है, maintenance is high. लाइक मेरा रेंटल yield तो बहुत कम है. वो तो they are very lucky. Most investors are very lucky after COVID. क्योंकि मुंबई में redevelopment हो गया ना इतना. Because which rents have shot through. नहीं होता ना, they would all be getting rogered. They should be thanking the government. Each investor, real estate investor, should be sending a thank you check to the government कि बॉस अच्छा हुआ आपने इतना redevelopment force किया, हमारा रेंट बढ़ गया.
अब redevelopment की बात हो रही है, so what's up with this Dharavi redevelopment?
Dharavi has been on for 30 years or more, actually. It's a complex issue. 600 acres of land. Okay. I'll tell you the strengths. We have the strengths to create a planned city within an unplanned city. ठीक है. Complexities.
Right.
ठीक है. You have to deal with a whole set of population that will not be very supportive of it.
Right.
Okay. At least some sections.
And why उनको अच्छा घर मिलेगा, उनको problem क्या है?
See, Dharavi is not just a slum. It's an ecosystem where you do residential, commercial, everything together.
Right.
Now, when you replace that, earlier if I'm staying on the ground floor here of a slum, मेरा बाजू में मेरा unit है, pottery का, leather का, जो भी है. In a building when I go, where is that provision for it? That gets disrupted.
Right.
Okay. So there's some degree of, I won't say resistance, but there's some degree of concern कि क्या होगा?
Hostility.
क्या होगा? Will we get what we have? Will we get the best of both worlds? Okay. I think that plan has to come to. 3 is at the choice of developer.
Right.
Now, see, I know a lot of people don't like Adani. Okay. And he may have his weaknesses and strengths. And I think some of the things that they have done in terms of asking for land, 550 acres from the government, those are self goals.
Right.
Okay. You cannot make a demand. Mumbai is वो ऐसा market है जहाँ पे 550 square meter के लिए people fight. Or you want 550 acres. Okay. So you have to be very careful. But while he is not the most perfect player, at this point, if you ask me who is a developer who can pull it off, I think it's only Adani.
That is true.
Or maybe one other developer. Okay, one other developer. But besides these two,
कोई नहीं कर पाएगा.
कोई नहीं कर पाएगा.
बहुत unorganized market है.
It's a social, political, economic thing. It needs somebody who can manage all of it. Strength of Dharavi, like I told you. When Dharavi gets rebuilt, Sejal,
Prime real estate.
it is the most ultimate location of Bombay.
So will it be lower parallel in South Bombay, like the southern Bombay?
If Dharavi gets built in the plan that, we have seen some glimpses of on paper, it will be the most expensive piece of real estate in Mumbai.
Right. एंड अब बोल रहे हैं कि 30 साल से रीडेवलपमेंट हो रहा है. आई एम नॉट अ मुंबई रेजिडेंट, आप हैं, तो मेरा सवाल आपसे ये है, 30 साल से जब वो रीडेवलपमेंट बोलते तो अभी तक क्या किया है, एंड अभी इसका नेक्स्ट स्टेप क्या होता है?
तो 30 years they've been planning to do real estate, planning to do redevelopment. कुछ हुआ नहीं on the ground, पर 30 साल से सोच रहे हैं कि इसको करेंगे. Nothing is moved on the ground. हाँ, it's gone too long. In one way, it's a boon for the Dharavi residents because 30 years back, Dharavi was a far distant suburb which nobody cared about.
Right. Now they do.
now, because in a way, events have shaped up in such a way that Dharavi has become center.
Right.
If 30 years back they done it, na, Dharavi, it was a bad address, it was a bad location.
Right.
Now it is a bad address.
But a good location.
It is a phenomenal location. Sejal will want to go and stay there. It will not be called Dharavi. I'm sure Adani does it. He will not call it Dharavi. He will call it lower BKC, upper BKC, जो भी है.
Some fancy name करके.
Okay. Adani City या जो भी कुछ बोलेगा. You will want to stay there, and I think if it gets developed as per plan, it will be the most expensive piece of real estate in Mumbai and maybe India.
Right. No, you know, while you were talking, initially when you explained me the address versus location वाला चीज़ and when you said Dharavi and all, I was actually thinking कि यार ये redevelopment जब होगा and अगर मेरे पास पैसा हुआ तो why not like शायद से कुछ भी करके like however कुछ कर why not look at investing over there, not as a place to stay अभी, but more of a thing कि यार what if my money like you know grows, this can be a very interesting investment.
So investment to Sejal, I think I've told you my thought on investment in real estate. I will not recommend it for you at least at your age. Okay, maybe you can set the roadmap there. If you're even thinking investment, keep in mind, think investment, okay, but think that अगर investment चला नहीं ना, I can live there also. I can live there ना.
Right.
If both fulfill ना, then it's okay.
Right.
Investment चला great, नहीं चला ठीक है, I'll go and live there. Such a great area.
I get what you're trying to say. उसमें थोड़ा सा time लगेगा अभी. I think we've discussed a lot today. Last question, I think second last question that we'll have is number one. कि अभी देखो हम tier 2, tier 3 की बात करी, हमने GenZ की बात करी, बहुत सारी बात करी. आजकल अयोध्या is a very hot location, right? So वहाँ पे real estate का क्या सीन है? ऐसी और कोई जगहें हैं जो does religious tourism actually increase क्या कहते हैं land के rate?
So religious tourism does increase land ka rate, like we have seen with Ayodhya.
Yeah.
See, Ayodhya is also actually in a way real estate in a way bubble.
Right.
Okay. We saw a lot of activity before the temple inauguration,
Right.
and now things are on pretty weak footing. Religious tourism now, I don't think it has a sustainable future.
Right.
Okay. Check every location, Shirdi, Vaishno Devi, jo bhi hai. Land and all over there is, nobody wants to be very close to the environment and own a property.
Right.
If you're a wealthy guy, na, I'll go there, I'll stay in a good hotel there, come back.
Right.
So I'm not very optimistic on the future of Ayodhya real estate.
Right.
The future of Ayodhya, I am very optimistic of.
तो फिर वहाँ पे बनेगा कौन सी industry बनेगी?
Interesting. It will be tourism led.
तो फिर hotels बनाओ वहाँ पे और
Hotels.
budget hotels.
Budget hotels, PGs, it will come for every sort of constituency. You have to cater to all sort of people who will come. Super wealthy, middle class, low middle class, all of it.
Right.
And it will come, and I think it can do well.
Right.
Okay. But buying property there, see, it was just in a way frenzy, right? 6-7 months back, real estate may take this, take that. Prices surged multiple times, at least on paper, right? Now it's all flattened out, and in fact, मेरे को कोई पूछ रहा था. One guy, I remember, he told me in Jan, he told me, sir, मेरे पास ये property है. Do you know some developer who can participate? तो before that, I had known कि अयोध्या में land का issues में बहुत झोल है. ठीक है, title, lot of leakages. So I said, boss, कोई मिलता है तो मैं पूछ लेता हूँ, and then I cut the thing. He gave me that time a certain value he was expecting. He reached out to me like about 7-10 days back only again. That value, his expectations come down by 30%. Okay. So it's bubble and not.
Right.
Is the future promising for Ayodhya? I think it is. But if you're an investor for land and all, I would not.
वो सब नहीं, but maybe hotels, tourism, थोड़ा सा tourism का वहाँ पे अच्छा चल सकता है because budget travel will work very well, right?
Those are the places to focus on.
Right.
We should not get into this thing of land. We make land too expensive, and then it screws up everything.
Right.
Land, I'm a big believer, should not go beyond a certain price because it has a cascading impact on everything else after that.
Right.
हमारे यहाँ पे, just think of it. Bandra में, why do restaurants start and shut so quickly? The goddamn land, no.
Right.
Rent is so high. So people come in with the glamour aspect. I have a restaurant at Carter Road, off Carter Road, at Turner Road, जो भी है. एक साल के बाद जाते कुछ वो मिलता नहीं ना, बंद हो गया.
But Vishal, इसके अंदर अगर हम location और address की बात करें, see, look at Bastian, okay, and I didn't want to go to Bastian, but my mother was like, Bastian चलते हैं. मैंने कहा ठीक है, आपको चलना चलो. So she takes me to Bastian at the top, and she's like, सीजे तुमको नहीं पता है, मैंने वहाँ पे सारी reels देखी है, right? So my mom is very Gen Z. Both my parents are Gen Z actually. I'm the millennial at my house. I'm the millennial. So I'm the millennial at my house, right? So when we go to Bastian के वहाँ पे लोग खाना खाने के लिए नहीं जाते. They have good food, decent food, but it's more about the experience because मुंबई के अंदर लोगों के घर तो छोटे हैं. And you look at Shilpa Shetty's audacity, right? कि भाई वहाँ पे उसने pool बनाया है जो लोग use नहीं कर सकते हैं. So do you think वहाँ पे भी कुछ real estate का effect रहा है for Bastian's growth?
No, Bastian is a phenomenal marketing and execution story.
Right.
When you go to Bastian,
हाँ.
it's in a way unlike any other place you've been to in Mumbai, right?
Yeah.
It's audacious, it's big,
They have 300 to 400 staff members.
So see, I don't know the margins that are there over here, okay,
Right.
for a place like Bastian. Many of these best, you know, cafes, restaurants, bars, when I meet them now, there's a lot of glamour in it. But it's not profitable for many of them,
Right.
okay? Bastian, I don't know the economics. But then you have to choose that, are you really doing it for style, glamour or for money?
I think Vishal, I'm not sure I don't know Shilpa Shetty personally, but what I think is वहाँ पे ना reservation के लिए you have to wait. And if it's a restaurant, you're waiting for reservation and they've employed 300 to 400 people. And very well trained people. They have much better staff than hotels. So I think they must be minting money. And it has sea view, like literal sea face, front.
Yeah, obviously, I'll be very happy to. I remember the reservation part. I think my brother from the US, he had come about a year ago, and I asked him, "Where do you want to go?" He said, "Bastian." So he wanted a reservation, and I think he called. He didn't. He told.
They don't answer. They
"Wo
don't
milega
answer."
nahi," and all. Then I asked somebody, "Boss, my brother's here for a few days. See what you can do." So then somebody got it organized, and my brother also had the similar view.
Right.
Super.
You do atmosphere. So there's this place in Burj Khalifa where people say कि either you take a view from Burj or you go to atmosphere, right? And दोनों का जो like hospitality and quality of comparison है parallel. Like India के अंदर उससे better restaurant नहीं है. And celebrity run restaurant because celebrity run businesses usually go in bust, right? I've done 1-8 again. Virat Kohli great, name is great, food but when I went and वहाँ का staff also good, very humble people but not that quality. I went to Bastian and I was like, my mom was right and I was wrong. And a kid saying that to the parents, "Aap sahi the," is a big deal.
I think credit to the guys who run Bastian, Shilpa Shetty and others. I think those are one of the few places that have actually done well. You know? Otherwise, I go to so many cafes. You know, a lot of my mates. Khali and then the turnover is very fast, right? जो अभी 1 साल पहले अभी 2 साल, he's not there anymore.
Right.
So and the fault of that is rent.
Right.
The restaurants that actually do very well, who can hold on to their prestige, you know, are the guys who own the land.
Right.
So you see the Parsi run restaurants in South Bombay now.
Right.
Land is theirs. Rent का खर्चा नहीं है ज़्यादा. You can do what you want.
Right.
Those work. But the moment you make that too expensive, rental market is... South Bombay in a way died. Why? Why did South Bombay die? Okay.
Right.
Every goddamn cafe that used to open, na, or bar or nightclub.
Prices just had to match the rents.
Kolaba mein, I used to go to these areas like many years back. So before probably when you were in what, second, third standard maybe. So at that time, Kolaba was the place.
Right.
Okay.
Kolaba is still the place. I love that place, but yeah.
Go after 7:38 today. Dead.
हाँ वो तो है.
At that time, everybody used to come to South Bombay to party.
Oh, okay.
Okay. There were these restaurants, bars, cafes. Many of them come up, go down. Come up, go down.
Right.
For sure, the city moved away.
Right.
Nariman Point got replaced by BKC.
Right.
And all the action shifted over there. Okay? Bandra became that hub.
Right.
Now Bandra has become goddamn so expensive, rent. So restaurants are shutting there.
Right.
It'll go to some other location. So I am a big believer this restaurant model na, works well if you're in a way doing partnership with the owner.
Of the land.
The moment you don't have that, na, it's good for style statement ki saying, you know, I own a restaurant at Katu Road at Lokhandwala. I'm not a big believer in, you know, this portrayal ki I do this, I do that. I have an airline. I built.
Profit kitna hai?
Because otherwise it's not sustainable. No? Otherwise it's just a 1-year phenomenon. No.
Right. No, that is.
It doesn't make sense to me. Right. Maybe it helps in a larger perspective. You're doing 6 businesses, right, and this one business of yours is loss making, but it's helping you generate profit in the other 5.
हाँ, फिर चलता है. Otherwise नहीं.
Because then you build relationships over there, and because it becomes an elite place.
Right.
People come over there, then you build that networking that can help you in other businesses. Then it's okay. But otherwise, standalone पे वो है तो मर जाएगा तो.
So विशाल देखो हमने बहुत बात करी है देखो लोधा बिल्डर तो मैं बन नहीं सकती हूँ ब्रोकर मुझे बनना नहीं है तो what other career options are there in real estate?
So see, builder, ठीक है. I'm glad you don't want to become a builder. So
I want to मेरे पास पैसा नहीं है.
After you get money and you do a project now, you'll say builder मुझे बनना नहीं है because many times builders don't make money.
Right.
Other profession, I think there is room for a big advancement in the way the broker industry is there today.
Right.
ठीक है. अभी क्या है broker का जो reputation है ना, it's in the pits.
Right.
Okay. Now some of it is maybe unfair, but most of it I think buyer response is very clear because we are not happy with the service a broker provides us.
Right.
I have a feeling this decade, the guys who are in luxury real estate broking,
Right.
they will be kings. Kings, okay? I'll not be surprised if we see broking rates at luxury real estate or this niche real estate go up to be 7 to 8%. अभी तो क्या 2.5, 3% पे खेलते हैं, right? See, अभी gap क्या है market में? Luxury real estate is a new industry that's been created. ना पहले luxury real estate in India was not really luxury.
Right.
Abhi we have the money, we have the builders who can execute luxury.
Right.
The guys who entertain these customers and the builders,
Right.
वो talent gap है.
हाँ.
So somebody who has a mix of how to deal with these luxury buyers, my guess is these luxury brokers now, there will be two guys. One will be the already existing guys who are in the industry now who will upgrade. Two will be guys, say maybe like people like you, who have no connection with the industry. Okay?
Right.
There's no baggage. This is how broking has to be done. They will be away from the noise of real estate broking.
Right.
They can chart their own territory.
Huh.
Okay? They will think differently because they have no baggage. They will think customer.
Right.
And luxury customer, it's a very small pool because of which once the word spreads, na,
They heard.
those guys will chase only them. मुझे सिर्फ सेजल से काम करना है.
Right, like a designer, so like a select broker, like a boutique brokerage.
You will be boutique broker, and there I think the money will be humongous, humongous. Within this, the other part which we've been talking about is that historical real estate,
Right.
not tourism, but historical real estate.
Right.
Somebody who knows that knowledge of history
Right.
plus real estate
Right.
and makes it very clear to the buyer, I'm on your side.
Right.
अभी broker का for a buyer, most buyers think ना broker तो builder के side पे है,
Biased है.
वो उसके लिए बैट कर रहा है.
हाँ.
You make it clear to this guy ना कि I'm on your side. These are guys who spend 10 crores on their interiors.
Right.
ठीक है, मैं 100 करोड़ का घर ले रहा हूँ, 10 करोड़ तो मैं कर दूंगा interiors.
Right.
Why will I not pay 6-7 crores to a really good broker who guides me, who takes my interested care? That is the next big wave this decade. Na?
Right.
These guys will mint money. I'll not be surprised if these guys make more than 200 crores per year.
Right.
Because luxury supply, while it's not humongous, it's still heavy.
Oh, it is. उस दिन सदबी रियलिटी का वो जो इवेंट I saw, I was like, hundreds of people and all HNIs people on Shark Tank were there to see that polo match.
So it tells you the size, right? And
Right.
I think that's I'm surprised why that industry has not yet emerged.
Right.
It'll be only 7 or 8 superstars.
Right.
Jaise we see in the US, right? There are these star brokers. There'll be these superstar brokers where they will not chase the client.
Client will chase them. And उसके ऊपर तो shows बन रहे हैं आजकल realty के ऊपर. So I think India के अंदर भी it's not far away.
Owning New York या जो भी है, selling Sunset, etc.
Yes, I see that show a lot. Selling Sunset.
You see those things, the customer will call these brokers, I want only you as my broker.
Right. अभी हम broker की बात कर रहे हैं. Have you seen दुबई का market? And I see a lot of people over there, say कि इस साल में अपना एक private jet खरीदना चाहता हूँ brokerage से. इस दुबई का मार्केट हाइप या उतना पैसा है वहाँ पे जितना वो लोग बोलते हैं रील्स पे.
Star brokers वहाँ पे they make good money.
Right.
Of course, the typical habit is to exaggerate how much you earn and all because it's also a content game, right?
दिखता है.
हाँ, because then they think कि people think I'm so wealthy, so they'll want to deal with me.
Right.
Obviously, that's not the median trend. Okay,
Right.
it's a handful of players who do that. Dubai is a very volatile market. अभी जो बोल रहे हैं ना मुझे अपना खुद का प्राइवेट जेट चाहिए, 2-3 साल दुबई मार्केट पूरा निकल जाएगा ना, फिर कमर्शियल जेट में प्लेन टिकट विल बी डिफिकल्ट. सो इट्स दैट सॉर्ट ऑफ मार्केट दुबई इज. Indian markets are not that way, so it will be stable. You build credibility na in India.
Right.
You're king, and as a broker, तो कभी-कभी मैं क्या सोचता हूँ कि because I'm a history buff
Right.
and I know real estate.
Right.
You know, I I sometimes think when after people tell me, you know, Vishal, तू इतना ideas देता है, you know everything about Jinnah, Hitler, Gandhi, ये वो, this industrial staying there. Why don't you think of it?
Right.
For me, the big challenge is conflict of interest.
Why?
I don't want to do a thing wherein I'm dependent on revenues from the builder.
I get it. Ethics आ जाएगा.
See, then your content thing totally goes for a toss because then your skin in the game is at the builder's end.
Right.
I'm not saying you should not do any business whatsoever with a developer. If you see somebody is good, it's good. But the selling part
is need to be a bit careful. Right, no, that is very, very true. And you know, people say you're a history buff or something. Remember the other day I called you and I was like, I'm so envious of your knowledge. आपको कैसे पता है ये सब?
I love to read. I love to read and see history.
Do you have a library at your house?
I have an online library. Okay, but I go to a lot of libraries. I go to a lot of bookstores. Right. So my wife in fact keeps telling me, you take me out for shopping, but you leave me for shopping, you go to your library place.
That is my favorite place. So at my parents' house, right, there's an empty room and my sort of books hai, and I have collected over 1,000 books. Me, my sister and my mom. And my mama has a separate library at her office because of profession. Okay,
I'd love to see that. But yeah, content, history and all, then you can join the dots. Right. You know, the trick in real estate is you are not selling concrete. Right. Most brokers go wrong there. They think I'm selling concrete walls and all. Nothing. Especially at the luxury end. Right.
You're selling that history, piece of history,
selling
emotion, that status symbol.
You're selling a story.
Right.
You're not selling concrete, sir, this is a 3 BHK, 1400 square feet. Also, but but that's for the affordable mid-level janta. You go above 30, 40, 50 crores, no?
फर्क नहीं पड़ता पैसे से.
He does not get 10,000 square feet or just 10,050. He'll not negotiate. अरे नहीं, 50 square feet extra है, मुझे rate कम कर दो from 50,000 per square feet to 49,250. You know what? Doesn't care about that.
पैसा पकड़ अच्छी quality दे.
You're selling the story.
Right.
And you sell that story, na. In fact, I often wonder, like in Bombay के mill lands, Mumbai का mill lands, it's actually a phenomenal story. This skyscraper, जैसे Lodha Park, Lodha World Towers, Marathon, Monte South, India Bulls Blue, they were all textile mills, right? Which became these skyscrapers. You know, each of them, I think if they had got the story right, na, if they were not selling just concrete, these projects would be iconic. I mean, they'll be maybe iconic, they'll become over a period of time because of luxury and all. But they would have become iconic almost on day one.
Like Taj Mahal, that sells the story of love.
Exactly.
Maqbara and like love.
Exactly. That sort of thing, which when it happens, no.
Emotional marketing works very well.
That guy who has 40 crores, if I go and tell him, if you go and tell him, ki boss, there is this history piece which really strikes a chord with him. Right. It's not that to every customer you tell him any history. You have to know your customer, what are his tastes, to understand कि boss, when I give this history piece, he will buy.
Right.
That will work.
तो आज हमने इतनी सारी बातें करी हैं. हमने रियल एस्टेट के बारे में बात करी, हमने जेनजी के बारे में बात करा, हमने अयोध्या के बारे में बात करा, हमने रियल एस्टेट बबल्स के बारे में बात करा. अब लास्ट क्वेश्चन, राइट? देखो, रियल एस्टेट के आसपास बहुत मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन है. कोई लोग बोलते हैं ऑल सोल्ड आउट प्रोजेक्ट, कोई बोलता है मार्केट बड़ी हॉट है, कोई बोलता है रियल एस्टेट अच्छा है, कोई बोलता है गंदा है. Don't you think we need a credible voice in real estate? And I don't know anyone else who is as credible as you. Don't you think you should write a book?
So, book is a big. It's the commitment for a book, na. Right. It's actually very, very demanding. Otherwise, I would. There are lots of nuggets that are there, which sometimes I think that they can maybe fit in a book. Right. But अभी तो मैं देखता हूँ to write a column. I have that level of inertia, A column लिखने के लिए it's a 1,000-word column takes a lot of my time and interest. Book, at some point maybe.
You should.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of material. I'll say that. A lot of material is here. Right. And to put it pen to paper. And pata nahi, someday it's I think I basically get your point that a book is probably the need of the hour, because when I also go to these bookshops and I see real estate के ऊपर, there's actually no content on real estate.
There is mutual funds पे है, stocks पे है, right? थोड़ा बहुत book, option trading पे है books, but आपके real estate पे नहीं है. And
which is surprising given the type of capital that the real estate absorbs. You're right. Maybe someday. I definitely see that there is merit in doing it. Whether I'm the right person with my skill set and patience at this point, वो I think थोड़ा fight हो सकता है उसके ऊपर. In case if you have some good guys who can assist me in it, happy to talk.
You know what? I would love to discuss this idea and let's figure out a way to make this happen, right? And let me find a few co-authors for you and let's make this book happen properly, because I think कि आजकल notion ये बन गया है सारा रियल इस्टेट अच्छा नहीं होता, जैसे सारे स्टॉक्स अच्छे नहीं होते हैं, बट एट द सेम टाइम लोगों को छत तो चाहिए, घर तो चाहिए, राइट? एंड इतना सारा आजकल मटेरियल कहाँ स्टोर होगा, इवन कहते हैं वेयर हाउसेज, राइट, वेरी कोर, एंड इस सब के ऊपर इफ देयर इज अ रेडी रेकनर विच जस्ट सेज द मोस्ट बेसिक इन्फॉर्मेशन ऑल्सो, आई थिंक दैट विल सेल लाइक क्रेजी.
Okay, we should explore that. We should explore that. We should explore that.
Right. So thank you so much, Vishal, for coming to my podcast, and I look forward to catching up again.
Thank you, Sejal. All the best for your podcast. I'm sure the type of characters you get, it will be very popular. So good luck for that.
Thank you so much.